Chapter 2489. Big Brother, all you have to do is stretch out your hand and you can solve all the problems. Why do you want me to run around so painstakingly? Yang Chen was exasperated. Why did he have to make such a simple thing so complicated? That's so tiring. Big Brother Li Cheng was already drinking the wine brewed by Sun Qingxue not far away. He said to Yang Chen without turning his head, "It's better for you to run around than for me to run around." His words made Yang Chen speechless. Big Brother Li Cheng didn't hide anything at all. He almost told Yang Chen that he treated Yang Chen as an errand boy. However, Yang Chen couldn't say a word. To be honest, could anyone be Big Brother Li Cheng's labor? Not to mention anything else, just look at how much Big Brother Li Cheng, a coolie, had raised his cultivation? Not to mention anything else, just the Tai Chi golden ball alone was not something an ordinary person could make. All the girls knew that their husband would be rendered speechless by Big Brother Li Cheng's words, but they still watched with great interest as their husband was defeated. It was rare for their husband, who had always been a man with great authority, to have such a moment. Just looking at him was enough to make all the girls snicker for a long time. Big Brother, the moment the passageway was closed, the karmic fire in my sea of consciousness suddenly rose. Yang Chen finally remembered what he wanted to know and asked, "Did it hurt a lot of lives?" "It's more than a lot of lives." Big Brother Li Cheng sighed and shook his head. It was a massacre. Closing the spatial passageway meant that the order of the three realms was going to be reorganized. Under such circumstances, how could a few lives be enough to turn the tide? It could be said that all the places in the three realms, including the mountain gates of all the cultivation sects, had undergone great changes. The peace of the past no longer existed. From that moment on, all living creatures had to bear the normal yin energy of the world. Without the purification of the great figures, survival would be more difficult than before. Because of the unprecedented changes in feng shui in the three realms, the world would be turned upside down. Swords, wind blades, demons would run amok, and the world would be a sea of blood. This was inevitable. The only person to blame was the great figure who had benefited the living creatures in the past. Even the living creatures who had enjoyed these benefits had to share the karma. Whether it was the real sin or karma, it would not fall on Yang Chen and Li Cheng. Even because Yang Chen and Li Cheng offered the space channel, the order of heaven and earth returned to nature, which was a great merit. Gongsun Ling was even more so because the mountain river geographical map took in countless indigenous people of the mortal spiritual world and purified the crazy monsters of the demon and monster realms and achieved immeasurable merit. There was a cause and a karmic karma in the world. This was the embodiment of justice. If there was a cause, there would be a karmic karma. Yang Chen, I want to discuss something with you. Brother Li Cheng was unprecedentedly serious. He was also very solemn when facing Yang Chen. What is there to discuss? Big Brother, just tell me. Yang Chen did not say anything and directly gave the choice to Brother Li Cheng. Many of Yang Chen's current achievements were guided by the memories of his previous life, but to a large extent, Brother Li Cheng's guidance was indispensable. Without Brother Li Cheng, Yang Chen would never have achieved what he had now. Not to mention the other things, just the merit chapter alone was enough to reduce Yang Chen's achievements by more than 10 times without it. Not to mention the dangers of many things later, just the achievements in alchemy and cultivation with the help of the merit chapter were far from what others could understand. It could be said that after having the merit chapter, Yang Chen had truly stepped into the ranks of the top elites, and not just an ordinary slightly outstanding expert. Brother Li Cheng and Yang Chen wanted to discuss serious matters, and all the women avoided them. There were many things that they could not participate in. With them around, Brother Li Cheng might not be able to let go, so it was better to avoid them. Sending the yin qi of the three realms to the demon realm and the demon realm is not a big deal, but it is not a small deal either. Brother Li Cheng organized his words and said very sincerely, Although there are tens of thousands of generations of ancestors who have enjoyed the blessing, I am afraid that it has also brought a lot of disasters to the future generations. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as a catastrophe of the world. Yang Chen nodded. This was no longer a matter of one or two living beings, but was borne by tens of thousands of generations of living beings. Such a big thing was, of course, a catastrophe of the world. Compared with this matter, the little conspiracy of the Zhao family was simply not on the table. If such a cause and effect is borne by that big shot alone, I am afraid he will disappear directly. Brother Li Cheng did not procrastinate. After pointing out the seriousness of the matter, he immediately said the whole story. That big shot has a lot of connections with me. I don't want to see him end up like this, so I want you to help him. What do you think? It's still the same thing. After hearing this, Yang Chen did not think much about it. He just smiled and said to Brother Li Cheng, "Big brother, you can make the decision. I will definitely do it." Brother Li Cheng seemed to be a little incredulous and asked, "Even if you have to pay all of your merit?" "I was just worried that a lot of merit would be wasted if I can't use it." Yang Chen did not care about this small problem at all. He immediately smiled and said, "Big brother, if you need it, just take it. You also know that I am actually not on good terms with the Xiantian sect. After ascending, I will inevitably turn the current heavenly court upside down. The merit is originally a waste. Big brother, if you can help me use it, I can't ask for more." Li Cheng looked up and down at Yang Chen, as if he was seeing if Yang Chen was sincere. Yang Chen stared at Big Brother Li Cheng without any hypocrisy and let him examine him carefully. Finally, Big Brother Li Cheng let out a long sigh as if a big stone had been lifted from his heart. He looked at Yang Chen and finally smiled. Yang Chen saw that Big Brother Li Cheng laughed easily, and he was also happy and also laughed. "Do you know how much merit you have and what use it is?" Big Brother Li Cheng's mood was a lot better, but he still asked as if he was testing Yang Chen. "It's not too late to regret it now. At most, I will buy the entire heavenly court and most of the celestial realm. But what is the point?" Yang Chen smiled and shook his head. "To be honest, with my current cultivation and you and the others, I will definitely be able to live well in the celestial realm in the future. So what if I have more merit? So what if I have less? You really don't plan on leaving some for yourself?" Big Brother Li Cheng seemed to confirm with Yang Chen at the end, and he was very serious about it. It was as if this question would deprive Yang Chen of his merit. Chapter 2490. "I'll keep some." Yang Chen slyly smiled at Big Brother Li Cheng and said, "There are a lot of merit steals on Long Xian's body, enough for our family to use. Besides, Ah Ling only saved a lot of merit this time, it will not be enough." Big Brother Li Cheng pointed at Yang Chen with one hand and seemed to be speechless for a long time. After a while, he smiled bitterly and said, "I forgot that you secretly hid a swanee." After that, he also laughed. The two brothers no longer had any burden and laughed happily. "Big brother, was the merit of the Tao ancestor not enough?" Yang Chen asked curiously after laughing. One had to know that the Tao ancestor alone was a few immeasurable merit. In the face of this great tribulation of heaven and earth, could it not offset a part of the sin? Not enough. Brother Li Cheng shook his head and said, "It is not enough even with the Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother, but one more can make everyone feel better." Yang Chen was secretly speechless. Most of his merit actually came from the Tao ancestor and the Queen Mother and the Jade Emperor. It was not enough even with all of them added up. One could imagine how tragic this great tribulation of heaven and earth was. At this time, Yang Chen could not help but wonder if the rebellion of the heavenly court was really because of the reason that Yang Chen knew. But Yang Chen would not speak at this time. Some things would naturally be known when the time was right. If the time was not right, it was useless to force it. He did not know what method Brother Li Cheng used, but Yang Chen suddenly felt his body sink slightly, and then immediately returned to normal. This feeling came and went quickly, but it could not hide from Yang Chen's senses. At first glance, it seemed that nothing had changed, but Yang Chen knew that Brother Li Cheng must have made a move, and his merit should have disappeared without a trace. Sure enough, after using a little bit of the merit cultivation, the originally smooth cultivation method became sluggish at this moment. It was not until Yang Chen removed the merit cultivation method that it became smooth again. Fortunately, Yang Chen had almost mastered the golden body incantation. Otherwise, the danger of practicing the golden body incantation at the beginning was enough to make Yang Chen self-destruct. That's good too. You won't stand out when we get up there. Big Brother Li Cheng closed his eyes for a while, not knowing what to do. Then he opened his eyes and looked at Yang Chen, nodded his head and said, "Otherwise, once you go up, the virtuous envoy will go crazy." Yang Chen, of course, understood what the merit envoy was for, so he naturally nodded in agreement. Just as Big Brother Li Cheng had said, if he were to ascend with that body of merit, it would definitely be troublesome if the merit envoy investigated him. There was a guy named Shen Wansan in the mortal world. Wasn't he killed by the emperor because he was extremely rich? His wealth had already surpassed the national treasury. If he didn't slaughter such a fat sheep, when would he? Yang Chen's merit was wealth in the immortal world. How could it be described as being as wealthy as a country? Immediately afterward, Yang Chen felt a sense of peace enter his body from the outside to the inside. The karmic fire in his sea of consciousness also slowly weakened under this feeling. It was as if at that moment, the resentment of all living beings in the world suddenly decreased a lot. Big Brother Li Cheng had already called the women over and briefly told them what Yang Chen had done. He thought that some of the women would feel that it was inappropriate an object, but he didn't expect that the women, whether it was Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, Shi Shanshan, Sun Qingxue, and Zhou Xianying, the 5 wives, Tao Junqi, Shi Wushuang, and the Murong sisters, or Lady Feng Hua and the 30 concubines, all of them had the same attitude. As long as their husband agreed, they would completely agree. An invisible thing was slowly changing. Yang Chen could faintly feel that something was changing, but he couldn't tell what it was. He could only look at Big Brother Li Cheng with a questioning gaze. The destiny of the 3 realms is changing. Big Brother Li Cheng simply mentioned it and didn't explain it in detail. Yang Chen just understood it briefly and didn't ask much. The topic of the destiny of the 3 realms was too big to be understood by Yang Chen, who was still in the spiritual realm at this stage. Even in his previous life, when Yang Chen reached the almighty immortal realm, he was far from qualified to talk about these things. From the beginning to the end, Yang Chen didn't feel reluctant at all. Maybe it was because these merits came too easily, or maybe Yang Chen really didn't put these merits in his eyes, but Yang Chen really didn't feel reluctant in his heart. As for whether Yang Chen was repaying his kindness, Big Brother Li Cheng also said that even if Yang Chen took it out, it would only make the situation better, but it still couldn't solve the fundamental problem. Yang Chen never thought that there would be any return for this kind of help. If there was a purpose, Yang Chen would rather believe that this was to help him and Big Brother Li Cheng become brothers, and nothing else. However, there was still a question hidden in Yang Chen's heart, and he never asked it. Yang Chen always thought that Big Brother Li Cheng was a disciple of the Tao ancestor, but Big Brother Li Cheng's words not long ago made Yang Chen uncertain. That Big Shot and Big Brother Li Cheng had a good relationship. It was not easy to understand that a big shot in the immortal realm and a cultivator who ascended from the mortal world had a good relationship. Maybe Big Brother Li Cheng's identity was not as simple as being a disciple of the Tao ancestor. The next thing was relatively simple. After sealing the space channel, the rest was naturally to completely refine the demon realm. The demon Chi Si was the core. After refining it, the demon realm would be completely refined, and it would be the time for Gong Sunling to succeed. The demon Chi was a higher grade than the devil Chi. It could naturally stimulate the live soil and cause the live soil to grow wildly. Using the same method, Yang Chen took the live soil flying sword and began to absorb the demon qi in the demon qi sea in an orderly manner, and grew the live soil. Gong Sunling controlled the mountain river geographical map and frantically swallowed the space that grew out of the live soil. The newly absorbed space was all sent by Gong Sunling to the immortal realm in the mountain river geographical map at the suggestion of Yang Chen. The concentration of this demon qi was too high. Even if it was diluted by the live soil, it was still not something that ordinary cultivators could touch. In the immortal realm, those cultivators with high cultivation bases may slowly have the ability to touch and absorb a part of it. If it was placed in the spiritual world of the mortal world, it was estimated that no cultivator could reach this level even after many years. Gong Sunling began to refine it, and the women did not need to stay in the mountain river geographical map. Now that it had been decided to ascend, Yang Chen simply let everyone go back to the sect to deal with their own affairs of the sect. Those who should instruct the disciples should instruct the disciples, those who should do things for the sect should do things for the sect, and make sure that everyone did not owe anything to the sect before they left. As for Yang Chen, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, Zhou Xianying, and Tao Junqi, they also returned to Chunyang Palace. In the current situation, there was no need for Gong Sunling to stay at the entrance of the demon realm. Everyone was sitting in the Chunyang Palace, and it could also increase the confidence of the sect. Everything was ready, waiting for the core of the demon realm to be fully refined. Chapter 2491. The sudden return of Yang Chen and his family to the sect had a huge impact. The four sects were, of course, happy. Originally, their golden immortal grandmasters would ascend to the celestial realm in a few years. In the future, there would be no golden immortal grandmasters. How could they not be ecstatic when a few disciples suddenly appeared, and all of them were golden immortals? Although these disciples would ascend in a few years, as long as they could stay for a while, it would be an advantage for the sect. Among them, the Five Elements sect was the happiest. Other sects would only have one golden immortal disciple, but the Five Elements sect had five, and they were all personal disciples of sect Master Chui. Where else could they find such a good thing? Of course, the Five Elements sect's pride was nothing compared to Yin-Yang demon schools. How dare 5 golden immortal experts show their teeth? There were still 31 who smiled without saying a word. However, the happiest was Chunyang Palace. Yang Chen, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, Zhou Xianying, and Tao Junqi, who originally belonged to the Xiantian sect and was now a disciple of Chunyang Palace, were also 5. But these 5 were definitely more terrifying than all the golden immortal grandmasters of the other sect combined. For this reason, the sect that could not be related to Yang Chen by marriage almost all regretted it. If they had known that Yang Chen was so outstanding, they would have put more effort in the mortal world. Fortunately, Wuji Demon School was still closer to Chunyang Palace because of the master-disciple relationship between Yi Yu and Yang Chen. The other sects were thinking of ways to mend this relationship. Soon, the Reincarnation Valley and the Dongxian sect used Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian as an example. After all, Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian seemed to have left with Yang Chen. Yang Chen should at least give an explanation for their departure, right? When the news was sent to Chunyang Palace, Yang Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was this forcing a duck onto a perch? Madame Bai had taken them away, not Yang Chen. Only Madame Bai could decide how to deal with this trouble. What's so difficult? Just say that I took them as maids. Madame Bai could see that Yang Chen didn't have any interest in Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian, so she didn't push them into his arms. As for their sex, let Rose and Peony take a few sisters with them. Thus, Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian returned to their respective sects with dozens of Peak Xian immortals. The higher-ups of the Reincarnation Valley and the Dongxian Gate were shocked. Dozens of experts at the peak of the Xian immortal realm had come to visit them. This was no less than a golden immortal expert from the lower world. Although they could not be related to Yang Chen sect was a sect, Xian sect, immortal sect, Chen sect, shocked. This time, the Reincarnation Valley and the Dongxian Gate also shook. However, when the higher-ups of the Reincarnation Valley and the Dongxian sect learned from Hua Xing and Hu Yuexian that Madame Bai had been a guest at Yang Chen's place, and that there were thousands of maids at the pinnacle of the Xian immortal level, they regretted it even more. If he had stood firmly on Yang Chen's side back then, God knows how many benefits he would have received. What a pity! Besides regret, there was also lingering fear. Turned out that back then, Yang Chen already had the strength to easily wipe out any sect. Fortunately, he didn't get into a deadlock with Yang Chen at that time. Fortunately, at that time, the Zhao clan acted as a public enemy to attract the attention of all the cultivators. Otherwise, who knew what kind of tricks their super sect would play on Yang Chen, the genius alchemist? All the sect members wanted to know the reason why the cultivation of the girls improved so quickly. Yang Chen had never given an explanation, but all the cultivators subconsciously thought that it was related to Yang Chen's alchemy skills. He was the only 8th-grade alchemist in the spiritual realm, which explained everything. Although the golden immortal masters in the lower realm had never heard of any 8th-grade elixir that could quickly improve a cultivator's cultivation without any side effects, it was not a problem at all for Master Yang. Wasn't the broken limb regeneration pill amazing? In the celestial realm, it would require at least an 8th-grade refinement to be able to regenerate a broken limb. However, Master Yang relied on the combination of multiple fire seeds and the refinement of raw materials to reduce the difficulty of the 8th-grade broken limb regeneration pill to the 6th-grade elixir, and the effect was not reduced at all. With this living example, it was not a fantasy that Master Yang had a way to reduce the difficulty of the 9-transformation golden pill to the 8th grade and still have the same effect. And among the 9th-grade golden pills, there were elixirs that could improve a cultivator's cultivation. Although the 9-transformation golden pill's improvement in cultivation was not very significant in the celestial realm, one should not forget what level of cultivators could take this kind of golden pill. Even a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal could barely get it. It was estimated that a cultivator at least at the level of 10,000 Tribulation True Immortal could get it. It would be a joke if a few small cultivators at the level of Heaven Immortal or Xian Immortal took the elixir that could improve the cultivation of a 10,000 Tribulation True Immortal. There was no problem in refining the elixir, and the endless demon beasts all over the demon realm provided Yang Chen with endless medicinal materials for alchemy experiments. Coupled with Yang Chen's incredible creativity and imagination, the rapid improvement of the girls was really not worth doubting. After the girls returned to their respective sect, Chunyang Palace was not the same as other sects. The rise of Chunyang Palace was so fast that it did not have a deep foundation like those super sects. This was criticized by many cultivators and sect, but many cultivators did not say much for the sake of Yang Chen and other super sects. But when the forest was big, there were all kinds of birds. There was always a group of guys who didn't know anything but thought they were very arrogant. They expressed their dissatisfaction and ridicule against Chunyang Palace on many occasions. The palace master had just taken over the Xiantian sect. He did not want to leave the impression of bullying others in other sect, so he adopted an indifferent attitude towards these guys who only knew how to shoot their mouths but did not actually take action. As long as they did not cause any substantial damage to Chunyang Palace, then they could do whatever they wanted. The world was big, could people not speak? Among them, the most fierce ones, especially those who tried to belittle and even ridicule Yang Chen, Wanbao Tower and Wine Immortal House always knew where they were. When Yang Chen and the girls returned to the sect, Elder Wu Xiong and Wine Immortal directly sent the news to Gao Yu. It was a trivial matter to say some strange words, and dissatisfaction with Chunyang Palace was not a matter of life and death. After all, Chunyang Palace was not a spirit stone, and not all cultivators could like it. However, they dared to speak irresponsibly to her husband, and even directly ridiculed and insulted him, which directly touched Gao Yu's reverse scale. If these guys had a grudge against Yang Chun, then it would be fine, but they had no grievances, and they did not even have a close relationship. If these guys did this, it was not just provocation, but directly courting death. Chapter 2492. Gong Sunling had to refine the core of the demon realm with all her strength, and Yang Chen also had to do his best to help. The two of them certainly could not leave Chunyang Palace easily. The remaining three, Gao Yu, Zhou Xianying, and Tao Junqi, with their respective disciples, also took Gong Sunling's disciple, and each took a disciple of Yang Chen. They divided into 3 groups and aggressively went to find these guys who were courting death. It was not only Yang Chen's family who were angry, but also Yang Chen's disciples. They had been cultivating in the Mountain River geographical map all these years. Although they had made a great reputation for killing before, they had not been in the spiritual realm for so many decades and hundreds of years. Unexpectedly, such a group of guys who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth jumped out and dared to challenge their master's authority. Apart from Mo Chunmei and Hannah Mengyu, they were all masters themselves. Even Mo Chunmei and Hannah Mengyu had high enough cultivation. It was just that their reputation was in alchemy and medicine, and they did not show too much killing. With the master's wife at the golden immortal level, Mu Bo Yiyu, and the others swaggered directly to those guys who insulted their master. Chunyang Palace was reasonable, and so was Yang Chen. So Mu Bo Yiyu and the others went to the door, directly showed their identity, and then very sincerely asked their master how Yang Chen had offended these guys. When Mu Bo Yiyu and the others came to the door, they hid their cultivation tightly, and showed that they were just a small cultivator at the Earth Immortal level. In the face of Mu Bo Yiyu and the others, these guys began to perform all kinds of clumsy performances. Yang Chen had not appeared in the spiritual realm for thousands of years, and had no contact with these guys at all. These guys had all kinds of thoughts, whether it was jealousy, dissatisfaction, or wanting to step on Yang Chen. How could they say anything specific about offending him? Now that Yang Chen's disciple had come knocking on their door and asked for guidance politely, these fellows were immediately put in a difficult position. Those who were smart quickly apologized and promised not to do it again. They promised to compensate those who needed it. Those who needed it kowtowed to apologize to those who needed it. They respectfully sent Mu Bo Yiyu and the others away. As for those who were not smart enough, they flew into a rage out of humiliation. They pointed at Mu Bo and Yiyu and cursed. Mu Bo Yiyu and the others hadn't appeared in the spiritual world for many years, so their fame had faded a lot. However, they were all well-mannered fellows. They sat where they were and waited for those fellows to finish their performance. Only then did they stand up, decapitate them with a single slash of their swords, and leave with their heads. In less than a year, at least hundreds of cultivators who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth lost their heads because of this. When the news spread, other than the relatives and friends of those who died, no one said that Mu Bo Yiyu and the others did anything wrong. The master was insulted, and the disciples stood up to seek justice. Was there anything wrong with that? Whether it was Gao Yu, Zhou Xianying, or Tao Junqi, they didn't have to show up at all, and these fellows were dead. Some relatives and friends who didn't give up relied on various relationships to find some big sect, wanting to ask these sects to seek justice for their dead relatives and friends. As a result, after a period of time, the heads of these fellows were directly sent to Chunyang Palace. It wasn't that there weren't any sects that stood out. It was just that the first-rate sect that stood out had only just revealed a little bit of their strength when they were directly annihilated by the surrounding large sections. Not a single person was left alive. The sect's territory was divided by several sect members, and the sect's property was all packed up and sent to Chunyang Palace together with the heads of all the disciples of that sect. The bloody lives made the cultivators of the spiritual world understand a truth. Yang Chen would not take the initiative to provoke any cultivator, but if there was a cultivator who didn't know what to do, Yang Chen was not someone to be trifled with. Yang Chen didn't even need to show up, and there were people who were willing to solve any trouble for Yang Chen in this regard. Although in the eyes of Yang Chen, these were not trouble at all. A few years later, it was finally time for the golden immortals of the sect to ascend back to the immortal realm. Under the joint farewell of the senior leaders of the sect, 15 golden immortals, including Elder Yao of the Black Tortoise Academy, collectively triggered the heavenly tribulation and ascended again. Because all the golden immortals were golden immortals, the celestial immortal tribulation they triggered was the most ordinary one. After 99 heavenly tribulations, the 15 golden immortals easily ascended without any abnormalities. In the blink of an eye, another 200 years had passed. The spiritual world slowly recovered from the catastrophe brought about by the Zhao family, and the major sect had once again returned to its previous prosperous state. All parties were restrained enough. Except for some small-scale disputes, the entire spiritual world showed a calm and peaceful state of development, which was very rare. This year, all the major sect collectively received an invitation from Chunyang Palace. Grandmaster Yang Chen and his family and friends were going to transcend the heavenly tribulation and ascend, and all parties were invited to attend the ceremony. To be honest, all parties had been waiting for this day for a long time, but there had been no movement from Chunyang Palace. Now that the day had finally arrived, all the senior leaders of the super sect felt relieved, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Although Yang Chen did not take the initiative to oppress others, the cultivation of his family was a huge pressure just by standing there. For a full 200 years, all parties did not dare to cause any trouble. They all quietly behaved with their tails between their legs. That feeling could simply drive people crazy. The senior leaders of all parties simply had the mentality of sending off a god of plague. They all happily rushed to Chunyang Palace to attend the ceremony. For such a big matter, they had to see it with their own eyes before they could truly feel at ease. After 200 years, Gong Sunling had finally completely refined the core of the demon realm. Of course, it was with the help of Yang Chen's living soil flying sword. The women had also refined and fused with Ao Sen's magic treasures and body. They had completely completed everything in the spiritual world and were finally about to ascend. The senior leaders of all parties who rushed to Chunyang Palace in high spirits were all shocked when they found out about the scale of this ascension. Yang Chen's family had 44 people. One was Li Qing, one was Lin Jingyuan, one was Ao Lan, Ao Lai, and Long Quang of the Dragon Clan. Together with the 6 from the Long Clan, there were a total of 9 people. There was also one that was very surprising. It was actually Long Can and Long Quebec. These 2 fellows were completely convinced. After they broke free from Ao Sen's control, they also joined Ao Lan. However, although they had 2 heads, they only had 1 body and could only be considered one. Originally, everyone thought that this would be the number. In the end, when Madame Bai's group came out, everyone was scared stiff. There were more than 1,000 of them, all peak profound immortals. Such a lineup could easily sweep through the spiritual world. Before everyone could feel fear, the heavenly tribulation started. Before all the spectating cultivators' incredulous gazes, 99 extremely ordinary heavenly tribulations descended. They did not affect each other when so many experts underwent their tribulations at the same time. This flabbergasted everyone. Even after everyone disappeared, the crowd still could not recover their wit. Why did it look like everyone had already undergone their heavenly tribulations? The other experts might not be sure, but Yang Chen's family was a regular cultivator who ascended from the mortal world. Where did they undergo their heavenly immortal tribulations? However, this was no longer important. What was important was that the shadow in everyone's hearts that they could not get rid of had already ascended and would no longer affect the spiritual world. As for Yang Chen's family, everyone did not have any ill intentions. However, since they had ascended to the immortal world, they wished them good luck in the immortal world. They hoped that with their golden immortal cultivation, people in the immortal world would treat them differently. Chapter 2493. Apart from Yang Chen, all the cultivators who ascended together with him were probably not familiar with the ascension area of the immortal world. Perhaps it was not accurate to say this, but at least Madame Bai and the others should be very clear about it. However, their memories and cultivation were sealed, so they might not remember much. In addition, Big Brother Li Cheng, Yang Chen was not completely sure. At least looking at his current appearance, he did not look unfamiliar at all. Everyone's current location was actually in an area with a radius of 100 miles. As soon as Yang Chen came up, he felt the familiar spiritual pressure of the immortal world. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he immediately found everyone's location. Even though everyone was together when they ascended, they were still scattered messily when they ascended. This was because everyone was close at the time, so they were scattered within a radius of 100 miles. If not for this, and the cultivators of the spiritual world ascended separately, this area with a radius of 1,000,000 miles would actually be the ascension area. All the ascended cultivators would randomly appear at a certain point in this area. Slightly different from the spiritual world, this ascension area was surprisingly large. It was not something that could be casually covered with an array formation. In the ascension area, the spiritual pressure was a bit lower than that of the normal immortal world outside. This was similar to the spiritual world, to allow the ascended cultivators to quickly adapt to the spiritual pressure of the immortal world. Presumably, after the lesson of ascending to the spiritual world, there would no longer be any brainless newly ascended cultivators who would casually attack any living beings here. The ascension area was large enough that even if an enemy wanted to stop the newly ascended cultivators here, it would not be easy. Not to mention the sex surveillance around the ascension area, just randomly appearing in a certain place was enough to give countless people a headache. In his previous life, Yang Chen even avoided the search of the profound heaven sect's disciples in this area several times. It was not until he left this area that he was once again captured. Soon, everyone gathered together. Everyone was there, and no one was missing. Before everyone could figure out what to do, something happened on Madame Bai's side. It wasn't just Madame Bai. Madame Bai and all of the maids looked extremely weak, which scared Yang Chen. After a brief inspection, Yang Chen heaved a sigh of relief. This was not because Madame Bai and the others were in trouble, but because the seal was being undone. The seal that sealed Madame Bai's cultivation was slowly disappearing. At the same time, it would also take away some of Madame Bai's spiritual power, which was why she felt so weak. It seemed that Ancestor Lu's seal was targeted at the spirit world. Once he returned to the immortal world, the seal would automatically open. However, he did not know if Madame Bai and the others would recover their memories. With Madame Bai and her entourage in such a situation, they definitely couldn't just casually appear here. Yang Chen waved his hand and took Madame Bai and the others into the Dragon Palace. In the Dragon Palace, they could remove the seal without being affected, and it was safe enough. For Yang Chen and the others, things like adapting to spiritual pressure did not exist at all. The environment of the immortal world in the Mountain River geographical map was almost exactly the same as here. The spiritual pressure was also exactly the same. In fact, the spiritual pressure in the Dragon Palace was even higher. There was no problem of adapting to the spiritual pressure. Naturally, there was no need for them to waste any more time here. They could just go straight to the periphery. After determining the direction, Yang Chen led the group straight to the northeast. "Husband, why are we going this way?" The one who asked curiously was always Sun Qingxue. Only she would always act like a curious baby in front of her husband. However, her question was the same as everyone else's. They all wanted to know why. The Tao sect is in this direction. Yang Chen did not need to explain much. One sentence was enough to explain the problem. Actually, everyone should do this before they ascended. They should try their best to understand the things above. However, not every cultivator was qualified to understand. Even those golden immortals in the lower realm were warned not to reveal too much about the situation above. Naturally, the ladies did not care how Yang Chen knew. They only knew that Yang Chen would definitely bring them to the most convenient and suitable path. Although there was no need for them to adapt to the spiritual pressure, Yang Chen did not use his fastest speed. He only used the most comfortable speed and leisurely sat on Gong Suanling's fortress ship. After all, the mountain river geographical map was slightly different from the outside. If they stayed a few more days, they would be able to adapt to it for a few more days. This would also allow everyone to understand more. After traveling for a few days, Aolan suddenly came to bid farewell. She sensed the unique call of the dragon race. Hence, she wanted to bring her fellow race members to the immortal world's dragon race. Aolan did not know what the situation of the immortal world's dragon race was like. It was also not convenient for her to bring Yang Chen and the others there. Hence, she could only bid farewell. Yang Chen did not mind this. After all, this was the dragon race's matter. Yang Chen would not meddle blindly. As for killing Aosen, the traitor of the dragon race, Yang Chen did not care at all. Since he dared to kill Aosen, why would he be afraid of getting revenge? Aolan and the others would definitely resolve this matter. Yang Chen bid farewell to Aolan and the others, sending off the dragon race's group with their eyes. Now, only Yang Chen's family and Big Brother Li Qing were left in the group. Big Brother Li Qing could not be bothered to come out and look for directions. He was also leisurely staying in the mountain river geographical map, busy with who knew what. Hence, only Yang Chen's family could be seen by others. 40-odd golden immortals were traveling. Aside from Yang Chen, the rest were all extremely beautiful women. They were like the moon surrounded by stars, making others feel envious and jealous. After traveling for another 10-odd days, they had probably traveled hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Just as they were about to leave the Ascension region, Yang Chen suddenly met someone familiar. They were acquaintances because they had known each other in the spiritual realm. Furthermore, they had spent quite some time together. However, their relationship was not that friendly. A group of people appeared. The one in the lead was that lower realm golden immortal expert from the ghostly soul sect. After being taught a lesson by Yang Chen, he had been imprisoned in the mountain river geographical map for many years. This golden immortal expert had already returned to the immortal world for 200 years. It looked like his cultivation had improved again. He was already a late-stage golden immortal. There were also 20-odd experts beside the golden immortal expert. When the women saw these cultivators, they all raised their guard. These 20-odd experts were all Zenith Heaven golden immortals. Judging from the timing and manner of their appearance, they were definitely not here to welcome them. "I have waited for you so bitterly." The golden immortal expert revealed a sinister smile. "In the spiritual realm, you made us lose face. Now that we are in the immortal world, the tables have turned. It is time for you to pay the price. That's all you have." Yang Chen did not care about the 20-odd Zenith Heaven golden immortals not far away. He smiled coldly and said, "Such a formation to welcome our newly ascended family. Admirable! Admirable!" Chapter 2494. His words were full of sarcasm and sarcasm. It was as ugly as it could be. If it was the kind of guy with strong self-esteem, he would have long been ashamed to show his face. "Thank you for the compliment." Obviously, the golden immortal master of the ghost sect was not that kind of person. He had been in the demon sect for almost 10,000 years and ascended all the way from the mortal world to the immortal world. It was simply impossible for a few words to embarrass a thick-skinned old guy like him. Not only did this guy not feel embarrassed, but he was proud of it instead of feeling ashamed. However, it seems to be against the rules for the newly ascended cultivators in the land of ascension, right? Yang Chen also knew that it was useless to talk nonsense now, so he did not talk much and asked directly. This was a protective clause for newly ascended cultivators, and it was also an invisible rule in the entire immortal world. Even if there was a great hatred in the spiritual world, the one who ascended first could not find trouble with the newly ascended opponent in the land of ascension. If they wanted to settle their grievances, no one would care even if they were beaten to death outside the land of ascension. This group of people from the ghost sect appeared sneakily in the land of ascension, which was obviously against the rules. No matter how big the rules are, aren't they still set by the cultivators? The golden immortal master curled his lips. He really didn't know if Yang Chen was really naive or pretending not to understand the rules at this time. He was already here, what was the point of talking about pedantic rules? If this wasn't a joke, then what was it? Cut the crap, I'll give you a way out. After the golden immortal master despised Yang Chen, he directly laid his cards on the table. Hand over the Mountain River geographical map and come with us. I will imprison you for as many years as you imprisoned us. When the time comes, I will let you leave alive. You didn't kill me back then, and now I'll give you the chance. Don't say that I didn't give you a way out. To be honest, it's not too much. Yang Chen nodded very cooperatively and then asked the golden immortal master. However, what makes you think you can do this? With these Zenith Heaven golden immortal masters you brought? To be honest, it's not enough. Grandmaster, you've seen it with your own eyes. This disciple isn't spouting nonsense. When the golden immortal master heard Yang Chen's words, he was not angry but happy. He took a step back and bowed to the Zenith Heaven golden immortals who came with him and said, "He was arrogant and domineering in the spiritual world and never put our sect in his eyes. I didn't expect him to be like this in the immortal world. Young people are arrogant and despotic. They don't understand the difficulties of the world. As elders, we can only tolerate them." The perfected golden immortal with the highest cultivation base slowly took a few steps forward and said to Yang Chen with a smile, "For the sake of your meritorious service in fighting against the Zhao clan in the spiritual realm, we can overlook your ignorant and naughty behavior. However, even if you can avoid death, you can't escape punishment." The perfected golden immortal had a posture of having everything under control. He waved his hand and said, "During the period of imprisonment, refine elixirs to sharpen your temper. When you refine the 9 transformations golden elixir, you can leave. As for you..." After saying the punishment for Yang Chen, the perfected golden immortal turned to look at Yang Chen's wives and concubines and waved his hand very generously. "For the sake of your respective sect, I won't care about it. However, these people from Chunyang Palace have to stay, lest you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth and offend people outside without knowing it. This is also for your own good." It sounded like it was very easy to talk to, but in fact, everyone understood that it was all because of the forces behind them. The ghost sect, a sect, would never imprison or kill Yang Chen's family for Yang Chen alone. That was an act of directly falling out with the 4 sects of Dao sects and Yin-Yang demon school. However, Chunyang Palace was a sect that didn't even have a fart in the immortal world, so as long as it targeted Yang Chen, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Zhou Xianying, other sect couldn't stand up for a non-existent Chunyang Palace, right? The golden immortal master of the ghost sect had waited for 200 years for this day. When the ghost sect in the spiritual world received the invitation to watch the ascension of Yang Chen's family, a master directly ascended and sent the news to the immortal world. This guy was also very careful. He judged that no matter which area Yang Chen's family ascended to, they would definitely go to the Dao sect's territory, so he had been waiting here for a long time. Heaven did not disappoint those who waited. he finally waited for the arrival of Yang Chen's family. When he was in the mortal world, Yang Chen was powerful. He could beat 6 of them with 2 fists, but that was in the spiritual world. Now the seniors he invited, the worst one was a middle-stage almighty immortal. More than 20 almighty immortals against more than 40 early-stage golden immortals. It was absolutely a crushing victory. In addition to the revenge in the spiritual world, the wealth of Yang Chen's family was also an absolute reason for him to be tempted. Not to mention the Mountain River geographical map, just the body of the traitor of the Dragon Clan behind was enough to make people excited. Originally, he thought that there would be 10 masters of the Dragon Clan traveling together, and there would be a hard battle to fight. As a result, the masters of the Dragon Clan and Yang Chen's family parted ways. It was simply heaven helping. If he didn't seize such a good opportunity, would there be a chance to touch everything of Yang Chen in the future? Letting the girls leave was also based on the premise that they didn't meddle. However, looking at the situation in front of him, it seemed that this plan had failed. The Almighty Immortal said so much, but none of the women moved. Not only did they not intend to leave, but their eyes lit up one by one. It seemed that they were waiting to make a move. This situation was also expected by the people of the Ghost Soul sect. After all, they were a family, and their relationship was closer than that of brothers and sisters. Judging from the performance of their family, they would definitely make a move in the end. What he said before was just a joke. Who would take it seriously? As long as they took advantage of this moment of ascension to kidnap Yang Chen's family without anyone noticing, they would let the other sects be suspicious, and the Ghost Soul sect would hold a lot of benefits in their hands first. If I say no, what will happen? Yang Chen asked calmly without any panic on his face. Not to mention Yang Chen, even the faces of the women didn't show any panic. Even if his family couldn't beat them, Big Brother Li Cheng was in the Dragon Palace. Back then, he punched his husband's Tai Chi golden ball. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. How could they not be confident? Then I'm sorry, sometimes we don't want to hurt people, but we are not afraid of hurting people. The Almighty Immortal who spoke seemed to be a big figure of the Ghost Soul sect. He shook his head very disdainfully. Don't think that you can defeat him in the spiritual world and think that you are powerful. To be honest, you are still far from it. If I were you, I would obediently give in and I will let you live. I will accept your wives and concubines. It just so happens that the sect lacks a batch of good cauldrons. You came at the right time. What if he says he doesn't want to? Yang Chen shrugged his shoulders, pointed to another direction, and asked. Chapter 2495. The experts of the Ghost sect were shocked. They had checked the area several times before they came, and there were no other cultivators at all. Who was the person Yang Chen mentioned? Several experts quickly turned in that direction. More than a dozen flying sword magic weapons had already flown in that direction before they turned their head. This was the normal way for cultivators to deal with sneak attacks. As long as they felt that there was a problem in that direction, they would greet the enemy with the flying sword magic weapons. If they really did not know where the other party was hiding, they would use a self-exploding magic weapon. The power of the explosion could always force the enemy out. After the flying sword magic weapons were greeted, they used their divine senses to explore. This exploration did not matter, but the cultivators of the Ghost sect were really scared. The result of their divine senses showed that there were more than 30 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals in that direction. What made them even more frightened was that there were 5 Infinite Tribulation True Immortals in the other party's team. No wonder they had checked several times before but did not find any trace of the other party. The other party's cultivation was much higher than theirs. The weakest one was comparable to the strongest in their team. It would be strange if they could find him. At this time, no one had the time to find out how Yang Chen found these cultivators. The experts of the Ghost sect immediately shrank the team a little, and then faced the experts who suddenly appeared. This group of cultivators who suddenly appeared was more arrogant than the cultivators of the Ghost sect. Although they did not say it specifically, the way they stared at all the cultivators present clearly contained this meaning. To put it bluntly, they were simply looking down on people with their nostrils. Contemptible clowns. The leading infinite tribulation true immortal just glanced at the group of zenith heaven golden immortals of the ghost sect and directly gave an evaluation. Then he ignored them and turned to Yang Chen. Do you think a few zenith heaven golden immortals are enough to touch Master Yang's family? The 10,000 tribulation true immortal, who seemed to be very arrogant, calmly asked Yang Chen, "Am I right, Master Yang?" Those who could ascend to the immortal realm were not fools. They were not the kind of hotheads who would get angry easily. Even the experts of the ghost sect did not show their anger in front of Yang Chen. They just said in the most ordinary tone that they wanted to imprison Yang Chen's family. This time, it was the same, as if these were really some small things not worth mentioning. Yes, they are too arrogant. Yang Chen nodded in agreement, completely ignoring the angry eyes of the experts of the ghost sect. The ghost sect sent so many zenith golden immortals to deal with just 40 juniors at the early stage of golden immortal Yang Chen. However, the weakest among the group of experts who suddenly appeared was a peak-perfected golden immortal, stronger than the strongest among them. Although the people of the ghost sect were angry, they did not dare to act rashly. They just stared at Yang Chen and the group of strangers angrily, waiting for the opportunity. The ghost sect sent so many zenith heaven golden immortals to deal with 5 infinite tribulation true immortals. Although the people of the ghost sect were angry, they were not fools. They just stood there obediently and did not dare to provoke them. The leading expert of the ghost sect was a little regretful. He had known that Yang Chen was a big piece of meat, but he did not expect that he had underestimated the attraction of Yang Chen's things. Even the infinite tribulation true immortals were sent here. Those who could spread their fame to the immortal realm from the spiritual realm were really not ordinary. Even the infinite tribulation true immortals were tempted. If he had known this, he would have invited a few more ancestors of the sect. This was troublesome. If the other party had the same purpose as the ghost sect, the fate of the experts of the ghost sect could be imagined. Other than being silenced, he couldn't think of any other way to deal with it cleanly and without leaving behind any future troubles. "Master Yang, let's join hands and escape." The voice of the leading expert of the ghost sect suddenly rang in Yang Chen's ears. This was a kind of secret sound transmission technique, which could pass one's own meaning to Yang Chen in a calm manner. The situation was not good. The leader of the ghost sect immediately changed his position and hoped to join hands with Yang Chen to defeat the enemy. As for why the other party said that the zenith heaven golden immortals were not good enough, he just pretended not to hear it. To be honest, as a disciple of the ghost sect, he was also a master who could dominate a region. He had never been ignored like this, but the current situation forced him to make this kind of posture. Otherwise, the Yang Chen family would probably be fine, and they would have to be killed. Master Yang is a smart man. How could you do such a stupid thing? The unfamiliar infinite tribulation true immortal did not care about the little tricks played by the people of the ghost sect at all. He still said with a smile, "Am I right, Master Yang? They are not your friends." The heart of the zenith heaven golden immortal of the ghost sect sank when he heard this. The other party knew his little tricks and let him do whatever he wanted. It could only mean that the other party did not care. Moreover, the other party was right. If he was Yang Chen, why would he cooperate with an enemy like him? Just now, he was arrogant and thought that he could control everything, but in the blink of an eye, he almost stepped into hell. It was not a good feeling, but no matter how bad it was, the people of the ghost sect could only endure it. After all, there were 5 infinite tribulation true immortals who were sneering at them. If they behaved well now, they might be able to delay them for a while. If they fought, they would definitely die. "Seniors, you look unfamiliar. May I know which side you are from?" Yang Chen asked calmly, as if he did not feel that he was in danger. You speak as if you are familiar with the experts of the immortal realm. Another infinite tribulation true immortal replied with a sneer. Why don't you guess which side we are from? It's not difficult, Yang Chen said calmly. These seniors of the ghost sect don't seem to know you. So, you are definitely not from the ghost sect. You don't seem to be from the demon sect either. Otherwise, they should know or have heard of you. Continue. The other party seemed to be very interested in it. He smiled and gestured to Yang Chen to continue. You are not from the demon clan. I can see it. It was easy to distinguish between humans and demons. Without Yang Chen saying more, Yang Chen continued. Taoism doesn't look like it either. They come to pick up their disciples, but they don't use such sneaky means. So many experts are dispatched at once. It seems that you are determined to win. Yang Chen smiled more brightly. My wife and I are so anxious to come here as soon as we arrived in the immortal realm. They must be afraid that we or something we have will fall into the hands of other sects. It seems that, from the analysis of these situations, there is only one possibility. Yang Chen looked at the infinite tribulation true immortals and said his guess. You are from the Zhao family. Only you know the real power of the mountain river geographical map. Am I right, senior? Chapter 2496. Clap, 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 clap. The two infinite tribulation true immortals who had just spoken clapped their hands. In the ears of the experts of the ghost sect, the sound of their clapping was no less than the sound of the soul-chasing tokens. They were from the Zhao family, which meant that there was no way to resolve this matter peacefully. Whether it was for the public or private reasons, they were doomed. Master Yang, no matter what, we have to join hands and send at least 1 or 2 people out. The leader of the ghost sect did not care about anything else at this moment. He directly said to Yang Chen, We are on the same side. Judging from what happened just now, I don't think so. Yang Chen shook his head and rejected directly. As soon as he came up, he wanted to imprison his own family. Yang Chen never felt that such a person was a friend. Master Yang, you are a smart man. The infinite tribulation true immortal of the Zhao family who spoke first clapped his hands and said, In fact, what the big sect is best at is burning bridges after crossing the river. You have just ascended and you have not even crossed the river, but they are already burning bridges. You are not good people either. Yang Chen turned back and said mercilessly. His words shocked all the people of the ghost sect. At this time, Yang Chen still dared to provoke these people like this? Indeed. We are bad people, and we have never admitted that we are good people. The infinite tribulation true immortal who spoke first said, But do you want to get along with a real bad person or a group of hypocrites? Get along? Yang Chen laughed and then asked, How do you want to get along? Do you think we can get along with each other? In fact, we have a detailed understanding of what happened to the Zhao family in the spiritual world. The infinite tribulation true immortal said, The Zhao family was destroyed because they mistakenly believed in scoundrels. To a large extent, they deserved it. You can't be blamed. Not only did Yang Chen widen his eyes in disbelief, but the experts of the ghost sect also looked at each other in dismay. What the hell was going on? From the destruction of the Zhao family in the mortal world to the destruction of the Zhao family in the spiritual world, which matter could Yang Chen stay out of? But now, this guy in front of him just said that he deserved it for trusting a traitor? Yang Lan has the ambition of a wolf. Our younger generation did not see it. The guy on the opposite side seemed to be serious, at least when he spoke. He didn't seem to be joking at all. Yang Lan ruined the Taishaman in the mortal world, and destroyed the Zhao family in the spiritual world. To be honest, Grandmaster Yang, we are quite grateful that you killed Yang Lan. This time, not only were the people of the ghost spirit sect confused, but even Yang Chen's wives and concubines were the same. Speaking of it, what Yang Chen did in the spiritual world could almost be said to have killed the Zhao family. How come in this guy's mouth? He became the benefactor who killed Yang Lan to avenge the Zhao family. Just tell me why you're here. Yang Chen smiled and asked noncommittally, It's not good to hide it like this. Since that's the case, I'll be straightforward. The other party didn't mind. Instead, he was very happy. Talking about things should be so simple. It would be nice to not have to talk about it for a long time. Grandmaster Yang, although you have ascended, the position of Chunyang Palace in the Immortal World is very delicate. The other party didn't care whether the masters of the Ghost Spirit sect were there or not at all. He said to himself, You have accepted the disciples of the mysterious Heaven sect in the spiritual world, but the mysterious Heaven sect above is not very happy about this. This was a big problem and a very tricky one. This was why Yang Chen insisted that the disciples of Chunyang Palace stay in the spiritual world, and he ascended first. It was all for the sake of finding a suitable solution. Of course, this was the speculation of others, and it was the common view of all cultivators. In Yang Chen's view, this problem was actually very easy to solve. As long as the mysterious Heaven sect was turned into Chunyang Palace, it was just that others couldn't think of the mystery behind it. Without strong support, Chunyang Palace will soon be divided up. The Zhao family's innumerable tribulation true Immortal said very sincerely, The immortal world is different from the mortal world and the spiritual world. The mysterious Heaven sect is not happy with you, and Chunyang Palace will never have a chance to develop. So, Yang Chen continued his words. So, the Zhao family can cooperate with you, Grandmaster Yang. The Zhao family's innumerable tribulation true Immortal was unprecedentedly serious. We are willing to support Chunyang Palace to establish a foothold. When necessary, we will send a large number of masters to join Chunyang Palace, so that Chunyang Palace can become a real super sect in the immortal world. Won't it arouse suspicion to casually send masters to join Chunyang Palace? As Yang Chen spoke, he glanced at several masters of the Ghost Spirit sect casually. Or are the higher-ups of the big sect in the immortal world stupid? They can't even see through this little trick? As long as one of the masters says that he is the founder of Chunyang Palace, who can say no? The Zhao family's innumerable tribulation true Immortal glanced at those masters of the Ghost Spirit sect disdainfully, as if he was looking at a group of dead people. Do other sects not allow the founder of Chunyang Palace to join Chunyang Palace? Those masters of the Ghost Spirit sect were completely desperate at this moment. Such a big conspiracy was revealed by the masters of the Zhao family in front of them. It was absolutely an extravagant hope for them to leave alive. Yang Chen could not help but admire these guys of the Zhao family, who used such an almost impeccable excuse to plan the whole thing. The magical rise of Chunyang Palace was really a miracle. So many people in the immortal world did not even know who the founder of Chunyang Palace was. Even for most of the disciples of Chunyang Palace, the founder was just a name, and they did not know what the specific image was. Even Yang Chen, in the memory of his previous life, had not seen the founder of his sect in the immortal world. This also meant that if the Zhao family really used such a means, the possibility of success would not be low. Even the disciples of Chunyang Palace could not judge whether the other party was their own founder. How could the cultivators of other sect object to this? As long as Yang Chen nodded, it meant that Chunyang Palace could almost rise in the immortal world in an instant and become a big sect with a large number of masters and a lot of territory. If Yang Chen had the intention of strengthening the sect like the palace master, Yang Chen had almost no reason to refuse this condition. What do I need to pay? There was no free lunch in this world. If you want to get something, you must pay something. This was an unchanging truth. And what can I really get? Mountain River Geographical Map. We only want the Mountain River Geographical Map. What the Zhao family's true immortals most expected to hear was Yang Chen's conditions. As long as they could put forward conditions, there was a possibility of compromise. For this, they were willing to pay everything. All the masters who join Chunyang Palace will completely surrender to you. The real glory of the family, Chunyang Palace will become a super sect in the immortal world. As for the loss of your wife's life source magic weapon, we are willing to exchange it with Li Jing's pagoda. Chapter 2497. Those who didn't know would definitely scoff when they heard Li Jing's pagoda. Who was Li Jing? What was so special about his pagoda that he dared to exchange it for the geographical map of mountains and rivers? But as long as they knew who Li Jing was, they would never have such an idea. Li Jing was just a name. He had another name among the people, called the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King. He had another identity. He was Neza's father. Yang Chun had seen Li Jing in the immortal beheading platform. Li Jing was personally beheaded by Yang Chun. However, there was no Li Jing's magic weapon in the immortal beheading platform. Needless to say, this pagoda must have fallen into the hands of a master of the Zhao family. To be honest, not to mention the issue of position, the Zhao family was willing to exchange Li Jing's pagoda for Gong Xuanling's geographical map of mountains and rivers. They were quite sincere. At least in their own opinion. When the experts of the ghost sect heard the news, they were completely dumbfounded. The Zhao family's generosity was simply incredible. They were even willing to take out the pagoda of the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King. It was hard not to be shocked. Of course, this also meant that they had absolutely no way to survive. As long as Yang Chun and the Zhao family's deal was successful, they would be the best targets to sacrifice. It sounds very sincere, but it's not enough. Yang Chun shook his head directly, and without waiting for the other party to refute, he immediately said the reason: help my Chunyang Palace to gain a foothold, and put in many masters. In the future, whether this Chunyang Palace will be Chunyang Palace or an affiliated sect of the Zhao family is not easy to say. In addition, using the geographical map of mountains and rivers to exchange for the pagoda of the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, you have gained a great deal. Yang Chun gave a direct answer: it's too much of a loss, no deal. Although Yang Chun refused to cooperate, the people of the Zhao family did not fall out. On the contrary, they looked very happy. The people of the ghost sect didn't understand why for a while, but immediately understood. Yang Chun refused not because of everyone's hostile attitude, but because the conditions given by the Zhao family did not meet. In other words, it was just a matter of price, not closing all the doors of negotiation. This was easy to handle. It was nothing more than a matter of increasing the price and bargaining. To be honest, these masters of the Zhao family really didn't want the negotiation to fail. Once it failed, they would inevitably fight. Who knew how powerful the mountain river geographical map of the Devil Realm and the Demon Realm would be? Even an infinite tribulation true immortal would feel anxious when facing such a magic treasure. Well said, well said. The leader of the Zhao family said with a smile. It's normal for Grandmaster Yang to feel indebted. Why don't you tell me what kind of compensation you want? You don't have to worry about the sex matters. Yang Chun looked very serious as he stated his request with a straight face. If you want the geographical map of the mountains and rivers, just give me and my wives a magic treasure each. Including Li Jing's pagoda that I mentioned just now, I just need a few more. At this moment, Yang Chun was acting like a very enthusiastic businessman. It was as if the other party had taken the initiative to deliver a knife to him and was about to pick it up and start a massacre. Hearing Yang Chen's words, the people of the Zhao family knew that Yang Chen was planning to make a big deal out of them. But that was fine too. It was definitely worth it to exchange some magic treasures for the geographical map of the mountains and rivers. Not to mention a few magic treasures from the Immortal Realm. Even if he emptied the Zhao family's treasure vault, it would be worth it. The Vajra ring made by the Tao ancestor, the one called the Vajra chakram, the 7-star sword, the banana fan, the refined golden rope, the jade bottle, and the treasure gourd. Yang Chun counted with his fingers. And the 8 trigrams furnace of universe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Including Li Jing's pagoda, there are 8 magic treasures in total. One hand over the magic treasures, and the geographical map of the mountains and rivers. I'm not greedy, just these 8 are enough. From the beginning of hearing Yang Chen say the name of the first magic weapon, the masters of the Zhao family were directly in a state of sluggishness. When Yang Chen finished the names of the 8 magic weapons, he also said that he was not greedy. The masters of the Zhao family almost directly spat out old blood. This was not greedy? Then what was greedy? The Zhao clan's experts, who had been looking forward to this deal, almost suffered internal injuries from holding back their anger. They'd seen shameless people before, but they'd never seen someone as shameless as this. He proposed such heaven-defying conditions, and still dared to say he wasn't greedy? The people of the Spectral Soul sect were also stunned by Yang Chen's words. Aside from Li Jing's pagoda, all of the magic treasures Yang Chen mentioned were exquisite magic treasures made by the Dao ancestor. If the Zhao family could get their hands on these magic treasures, they would have long since taken control of the heavenly court and dominated the immortal world. Why would they need to cooperate with Yang Chen? Even the profound Heaven sect didn't dare say they had complete control of these magic treasures. How could the Zhao family, a family that had always been hiding in the dark, shamelessly say they had? Yang Chen's conditions were like slapping the Zhao family in the face. No matter how well-mannered the experts of the Zhao family were, they were infuriated by Yang Chen's teasing conditions. If he wanted to make conditions, he should have made them seriously. What was the point of making a joke? Several people stared at Yang Chen with eyes full of killing intent, as if they wanted to cut Yang Chen into pieces. What are you doing? When I killed the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King, you guys were hiding and shivering in fear. Yang Chen picked his ear disdainfully and said with contempt, I've killed more tribulation true immortals than you've ever seen. Do you think I'm afraid of your eyes? What are you staring at? It seems that Master Yang is not sincere in cooperating with us. The leading infinite tribulation true immortal of the Zhao family sighed regretfully and said, We were serious about cooperating with you, but Master Yang took our kindness for granted. It seems that Master Yang still has something to rely on. What a pity! The Zhao family's tribulation true immortal shook his head again and looked around. As he looked around, more than 20 people appeared in 4 directions, each of them releasing their own soaring qi. The people of the Ghost sect all wailed in their hearts. These people were all tribulation true immortals. No matter how powerful Yang Chen's family was, so what? More than 30 tribulation true immortals could definitely kill more than 40 people of the Yang family. Not to mention that there were more than 100 Zenith Heaven Golden immortals. This time, the Zhao family had sent such a force to deal with Yang Chen's family, who had just ascended. They definitely attached great importance to this matter. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control and a massacre was about to begin, the experts of the Ghost sect closed their eyes in despair. Just looking at the number of people, they had lost the will to resist. Yang Chen, I know who I am. Suddenly, a bell-like laughter rang in everyone's ears. Then, a very luxuriously dressed woman appeared beside Yang Chen. Chapter 2498. As soon as the woman appeared, Yang Chen and the other women didn't care. Her voice was so familiar that they knew who she was. But the experts of the Zhao family and the Ghost sect were all startled. Who was this woman? Where did she come from? These cultivators immediately thought of a possibility, that was, this woman had always been in Yang Chen's space magic treasure, or in the geographical map of Mountain River. Listening to the woman's words, it seemed that she could remember who she was before. This could also explain why an ascended expert would rather hide in Yang Chen's space magic treasure than outside. An expert who couldn't remember anything would definitely not want to run around. If they were Yang Chen, they would also not want such an expert to run around without any memory. When they looked at the woman's cultivation, all the cultivators, including Yang Chen's family, were startled. An infinite tribulation true immortal. Fortunately, Yang Chen had already guessed it, so they recovered from the shock. But the Zhao family was not like this. Basically, an infinite tribulation true immortal was the peak of cultivation. Yang Chen had never heard of anything higher than that, even though he had made many zenith heaven golden immortal friends in his previous life. Moreover, after an infinite tribulation true immortal passed the zenith heaven golden immortal tribulation, it was basically impossible to tell his cultivation level from the outside. But the more it was like this, the more dangerous it was, because among the infinite tribulation true immortals, there were little genuine immortals who had just passed the tribulation, and there were also those genuine immortals who had passed the tribulation for tens of thousands of years. It was really hard to know the fighting capacity of a genuine immortal. This was the feeling that Madame Bai gave off. They knew that she was an infinite tribulation true immortal, but they did not know her real cultivation level. This was the most difficult part. I know who I am. Madame Bai, who was wearing a veil, was very excited. This was the second time she said this sentence. Her excited look made Yang Chen feel happy for her. Madame Bai, who was so happy, did not care about the experts of the Zhao family and the ghost sect at all. She just shouted at her acquaintances. Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and the others gathered around and congratulated Madame Bai. They didn't care about the danger in front of them at all. That heartless bastard. He left me alone in the spirit world for so long. When I find him, I'll definitely teach him a good lesson. Madame Bai hadn't been so happy in a long time. Not only did she remember who she was, but she also remembered who her husband was. She chatted happily with the other women. However, when Yang Chen and the other women heard Madame Bai's excited words, they found it funny and even laughed along with her, not daring to respond to her. Everyone knew who Madame Bai's wife was. Madame Bai could very arrogantly say that she wanted to teach him a lesson. That was her hobby. If Yang Chen and the others dared to join in, they would definitely be taught a terrible lesson by Ancestor Lu. While Madame Bai and the girls were chatting happily, the faces of the experts of the Zhao family and the ghost sect darkened. The people of the ghost sect were fine. They were already desperate. Whether Yang Chen agreed to cooperate with the Zhao family or not, they were doomed. Their only chance was to kidnap one or two of Yang Chen's women before the Zhao family and force Yang Chen to agree to some conditions in exchange for their lives. But the Zhao family had more than 30 experts of the true immortal realm. It was not a problem for them to kill Yang Chen's family easily. At this time, shouldn't Yang Chen's family be sweating and thinking of ways to escape as if they were facing a formidable enemy? How could they chat so happily with a woman of the true immortal realm? They could chat, but they didn't take the more than 30 experts of the true immortal realm of the Zhao family seriously at all. They acted as if there was no one else around them. Which of the true immortals of the true immortal realm who came here was not treated like an ancestor by their families? When had they ever been treated so coldly? If they could tolerate it, what else could they not? Did they really think that a shameful woman could save them from danger? Master Yang, is this what you're relying on? The leading expert of the Zhao family carefully looked at Madame Bai, who was wearing a veil, for a long time. Finally, he said with a fierce face, I have to say, Master Yang, you've made a very regrettable decision. As he spoke, the experts of the Zhao family began to approach slowly. All the experts released their qi power, and the overwhelming pressure concentrated on the ship where Yang Chen's family was gathered. If it were an ordinary cultivator who had just ascended, he would have been scared out of his wits or even fainted by the surging qi power and pressure. Unfortunately, the Zhao family made a mistake. They encountered Yang Chen's family this time. Yang Chen's divine sense cultivation had reached the early stage of the true immortal realm, and the women's divine sense cultivation had also been improved to the peak of the zenith heaven golden immortal by Yang Chen's divine sense dual cultivation. The pressure of the divine sense alone was useless against Yang Chen's family. However, the unceremonious and even murderous chi power and pressure annoyed Madame Bai. For so many years, Madame Bai did not remember who she was. In the spiritual realm, she had been locked in a tomb by her lover for tens of thousands of years. When she finally remembered who she was sharing the fun of teaching that heartless man a lesson with these bosom friends, who were not her maids. Suddenly, she was interrupted by a group of guys. Madame Bai's anger suddenly exploded. The resentment accumulated for tens of thousands of years was being shared and vented with her girlfriends. The guys who suddenly jumped out to disturb the situation were naturally guilty, especially when these guys also planned to kill Yang Chen and the women. It was even more hopeless. Shut up. Just as Yang Chen gave the Zhao family a thumbs up and admired them for daring to treat Madame Bai like this, Madame Bai rebuked them angrily. No one saw how Madame Bai attacked. She just stretched out her hand, and the leading expert of the Zhao family, who had just spoken, paused. Then, a red light flew toward Madame Bai. Yang Chen was shocked. He quickly moved to block the attack, but the next moment Yang Chen stopped moving. His body was already in front of Madame Bai, but it did not stop the red light from advancing. At this time, everyone saw clearly that the red light was not an offensive treasure. It was the head of the leading expert of the Zhao family. It was a fresh and bloody head. The leading Zhao family's body was still standing, but his head had been taken away by Madame Bai using some unknown method. Even Yang Chen did not see what treasure Madame Bai had used, nor did he see what method she had used. A slender hand grabbed the bun on the head, looked at it, and threw it to the side with disdain. Then, the hand patted Yang Chen's shoulder, who had already arrived in front of her. She praised Yang Chen. "Little guy, your filial piety is commendable. When you see that heartless man, I will ask him to reward you." Then, the slender hand pointed at the shocked and terrified Zhao family members and ordered, "Kill them all." Chapter 2499. Countless vicious curses arose in the hearts of these experts. Of course, the target of their curses was the Golden Immortal who had instigated everyone to come out and do this. The ghost sect was a demonic sect, so they would not feel any moral pressure. However, because of the Golden Immortal's bewitchment, they had fallen into a dead end. If not him, who should they curse? Was this a problem? Who would want to die? Especially those who had reached the level of Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal and had all kinds of good lives waiting for them to enjoy. How could they want to die? The experts of the ghost sect were ready to die, but the next moment, an even more incredible scene appeared. As Madame Bai gave the order, hundreds of women suddenly appeared around Yang Chen. As soon as these women appeared, they immediately rushed out and began to attack. The Golden Immortal of the Ghost Sect thought he knew Yang Chen very well. He had investigated for a long time in the spiritual realm, but he still could not figure out where these tribulation true immortals came from. Now, even if Yang Chen was willing to compromise, it would not be good. There were more than 30 tribulation true immortals of the Zhao family. One died and there were more than 30 left. If they swarmed together, no matter how powerful this woman was, she could fight against 10 people alone, but Yang Chen and the others would definitely be slaughtered. They wanted the Mountain River geographical map. If they killed Gong Sunling, they could get the complete magic treasure. Since the Zhao family attacked, the people of the ghost sect would definitely not be spared. It all depended on who was lucky enough to survive until Madame Bai blocked all the tribulation true immortals. But was it possible? There were not many experts. One had to fight against more than 30 people and protect more than 40 juniors. Even an immortal could not do it. Moreover, the one who attacked was an tribulation true immortal. If the Zhao family succeeded, the people of the ghost sect would definitely die. The problem was that the Zhao family did not succeed. Yang Chen's side won, but the people of the ghost sect would still die. Because it was time for them to pay back for the arrogant words they had said before. On this point, whether it was the immortal realm, the spiritual realm, or the mortal world, it was all the same. The Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals of the Ghost sect did not know who this masked woman was, and they were even angry that she ignored them. No matter how much they regretted it, they had to get rid of the current embarrassment. The leader of the Ghost sect had no choice but to say to Yang Chen, "Master Yang, it was a misunderstanding before. It was a secret that they came to block Yang Chen. They did not dare to let people know. It also meant that even if they died, no one would know, and no one would find Yang Chen for revenge. Similarly, if they were imprisoned in the Mountain River geographical map, no one would come out to rescue them. Even if they died, they could only die in the Mountain River geographical map. Even if Yang Chen let them go in the end, that golden immortal would be dead. How could they show their apologies to Grandmaster Yang if they didn't dismember their bodies into 1,000 pieces for daring to trap their seniors in such a big pit? I am of Master, of all of the sect, and of Chi Master of world, of Imuf, of everyone, of the god of the sect cultivators. Before the experts of the Ghost sect could figure out the cultivation of these women, the battle was completely over. The number of true immortals of the Zhao clan, including the true immortals of Almighty All-Embracing Heaven and the true immortals of Zenith Heaven, who appeared at the beginning, as well as the group of true immortals who appeared later, amounted to nearly 100 people. More than 30 true immortals of Zhao clan were killed in less than 10 breaths of time. But when they saw the Zhao family's expert at the no-tribulation true immortal level, who had suppressed them in front of them, was beheaded in an instant, they broke out in a cold sweat out of fear. The people of the Ghost sect were actually lambs waiting to be slaughtered, and they knew it clearly. More than 30 true immortals of the Zhao family were enough to make them stay still. Now that there were more than 100 true immortals around Yang Chen, they felt as if there was a mountain pressing on their hearts. All the practitioners who thought they knew about Yang Chen were blind. How could no one know that there were more than 100 true immortals around Yang Chen when he and his family had just ascended? Where did this group of abnormal experts come from? At this time, the experts of the Ghost sect finally found out that the 100 women were all true immortals of the Zhao family. In particular, when some of them glanced at the people of the Ghost sect intentionally or unintentionally, the coldness in their eyes made all the experts of the Ghost sect scared out of their wits. Now, several Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals of the Ghost sect were thinking about how to appease Yang Chen's anger. Even if they had to humble themselves and pretend to be obedient, they would accept it. Do you want to live or die? Without waiting for him to say the following words, Yang Chen had already impatiently interrupted his words and asked naked. Fortunately, cultivators were cultivators. They weren't so wishy-washy. When they encountered this kind of moment where they needed to make a decision, they quickly made their choice. No wonder Yang Chen did not care about their threats at all and kept saying that they were not strong enough. At that time, they thought that Yang Chen was stubborn. Now that they thought about it, he really thought that they were not strong enough. Even if they sent out a force 100 times stronger, they would not be a match for him. If you want to die, it's simple. You can kill yourself, or we can help you. Yang Chen did not even intend to give them much time to think about it. If you want to live, it's the same as in the spiritual realm, but it's not up to you when you come out. No one wanted to die, so they could only enter the Mountain River geographical map to suffer. Of course, the Golden Immortal who instigated them would not have an easy time after entering. These Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals would take turns to let the Golden Immortal know what a big mistake he had made this time. They would definitely make him cry regret in his sleep. The Golden Immortal who first instigated the experts of the Ghost sect to go out was so scared that he trembled. He now hated himself for being so stubborn and greedy. He had obviously received enough lessons in the spiritual realm. How could he still make such a mistake in the immortal realm? Yang Chen made it very clear that if they wanted to live, they had to enter the Mountain River geographical map. They would be imprisoned forever and would not be able to come out. When they were in the spiritual realm, the Ghost sect, the Ghost sect, and the others still had the sect to back them up. Now they did not have such a good opportunity. Gong Sunling neatly put the experts of the ghost sect into the mountain river geographical map, together with the corpses of the Zhao family. The spoils of war belonged to Madame Bai and the others, but there were so many corpses of true immortals. Madame Bai and the others did not have much use for them. It was better to throw them into the mountain river geographical map, and they could get dozens of spiritual meridians of true immortal level. The women's actions were clean and efficient, and they showed no mercy. It was as if they were killing chickens instead of killing an infinite tribulation true immortal. Chapter 2500. The appearance and disappearance of the ghost sect and the Zhao family was very secretive. Perhaps the Zhao family still knew what these masters were doing when they disappeared. But the ghost sect had no idea what so many Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were doing, or even missing. Maybe many years later, someone would remember that they hadn't seen them for a long time. But at that time, would anyone still find out where they went? The ship continued to move forward, but Madame Bai and several maids appeared. The others still didn't show up. Even Lin Jingyuan stayed in the Dragon Palace, thinking about how to meet his father. They were still in the Ascension area, and it was not time to leave yet. Of course, Lin Jingyuan was a smart man. How could he leave before he established a relationship with Madame Bai? Lin Jingyuan found out about Madame Bai's identity in the spirit realm, so he tried to leave a good impression on her. Now that Madame Bai's memories and cultivation base had recovered, Lin Jingyuan had to leave a good impression on her as usual before he left. It was a pity that the Zhao family didn't bring the pagoda of the pagoda-bearing king that they had promised to give to Gong Sunling. Maybe they didn't intend to cooperate with Yang Chen from the beginning, and they just wanted to play with Yang Chen's family. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been only 5 tribulation true immortals at the beginning, and then more than 30 true immortals. Going forward, within a few days, Yang Chen saw a place where cultivators gathered. The familiar spiritual pressure in the immortal realm told Yang Chen that they had left the Ascension area, and it was time for the girls to report to their respective sect. The place where the cultivators gathered was a reception town similar to the one in the spirit realm. There was always one such reception town around the Ascension area, as long as it was tens of thousands of miles away. Basically, as long as the sect was slightly larger, there would be 1 or 2 reception disciples in the reception town responsible for guiding the newly ascended juniors. This was the direction of the Taoist sect, so there were more Taoist sects. As long as they entered the reception town, they had to put down their hatred in the spiritual realm and settle it after they left the reception town. However, as long as they entered the reception town, it meant that the newly ascended cultivators were safe. Whether it was the Tao, Demon, Monster or Rogue Cultivator Alliance, none of them wanted to see their newly ascended disciples killed, so they definitely made arrangements. Madame Bai, who was getting along well with the ladies, took her leave when she saw the town. They recovered their memories and could go anywhere in the celestial world. Madame Bai had been separated from Ancestor Lu for tens of thousands of years. At this moment, she wished she could fly to Ancestor Lu's side. However, Yang Chen still told Madame Bai about the changes in the heavenly court in detail, including the news that Ancestor Lu had disappeared after the upheaval. Fortunately, Ancestor Lu did not appear on the immortal beheading platform. This was the best news for Madame Bai. Madame Bai would definitely think of ways to find Ancestor Lu, and Yang Chen would definitely not stop her. So far, the pure Yang Palace was still nothing in the immortal world. It could be said that there was no place for them to hide. They couldn't give any promises to Madame Bai. They could only warn Madame Bai to be careful. Not far from the reception town, more than 1,000 tribulation true immortals left from Yang Chen's team. Just the aura that they deliberately released scared all the cultivators in the reception town out of their wit. Those who were in charge of welcoming the new disciples were just some junior disciples who were familiar with the celestial world. The best among them was just a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. They had never seen such a scene before. This was Madame Bai's way of keeping up appearances for Yang Chen. She wanted to show her strength so that no one would dare to look down on them after they entered the reception town. The cultivators who had experienced all this understood that teaching the new rookies a lesson had always been the rule of the reception town. In the future, with Madame Bai's help, no one would dare to disrespect Yang Chen's team. In the celestial world, neither the cultivation of Golden Immortal nor the title of Level 8 Alchemist was useful. There were many cultivators who were much stronger than them. Even though Yang Chen was famous in the spiritual realm, he was still a junior here. No matter what methods he used, he could not use them. It was true. When Yang Chen and his family entered the reception town, all the disciples of each sect who were in charge of welcoming them did not dare to treat them as newcomers. They answered every question with a kind attitude. They could be regarded as the best guides and waiters. It was easy to find the 4 sects of Taoism here. Shi Shanshan, Sun Qingxue, Shi Wushuang, and the Murong sisters were warmly welcomed by the disciples of the same sect. They were very friendly and welcomed into the residences of their respective sections. Yin Yang Demon School also had disciples here. Lady Feng Hua and 30 female disciples reluctantly said goodbye to their husband and entered the territory of Yin Yang Demon School. They were not from the same sect. After ascending, there would definitely be a period of separation. This was inevitable. Moreover, Yang Chen did not want the girls to wander around with him. After all, there was nothing in Chunyang Palace now. Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, Zhou Xianying, and Tao Junqi could not be helped, but the other girls did not need to suffer, even if they were willing to share the joys and sorrows with their husband. Unexpectedly, Yang Chen saw the disciples of the Xiantian sect in the reception town. Logically speaking, the Xiantian sect no longer existed in the spiritual realm. The Xiantian sect did not need to wait here to receive disciples, but they were still waiting here. What did this mean? Yang Chen thought for a while, pulled Tao Junqi over and gave her a few instructions. Tao Junqi looked at her husband and nodded. Soon, Tao Junqi appeared outside the residence of the Xiantian sect. All the disciples of the other sect in the reception town began to pay attention to this side, intentionally or unintentionally. A Xiantian sect disciple came out to greet them, but Tao Junqi had no intention of going in. Instead, she expressed her attitude to the Xiantian sect disciple at the door. Tao Junqi had already joined the Chunyang Palace with the Xiantian sect in the spiritual realm and worshipped the ancestral master of Chunyang Palace, so she was no longer a disciple of the Xiantian sect. However, the Xiantian sect still nurtured her, so she came to kowtow to thank them and planned to leave. To everyone's surprise, the Xiantian sect disciple did not fly into a rage. Instead, he calmly accepted all of this. He even deliberately opened the door and let Tao Junqi bow to the portrait of the ancestral master in the living room. He then kindly sent Tao Junqi out. All the disciples of the other sect secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that the celestial realm's Xiantian sect had temporarily accepted the fact that they were in the spiritual realm and had no intention of immediately falling out. When Tao Junqi returned to Yang Chen's side, without anyone noticing, Tao Junqi handed a piece of jade slip to Yang Chen's hand. The jade slip was secretly given to Tao Junqi by the disciple. Tao Junqi glanced at the contents but didn't know what it meant. However, Tao Junqi knew very well that this wasn't for her, but for her husband. She just didn't know what the Xiantian sect meant by giving Yang Chen the jade slip. Chapter 2501. Yang Chen and the others did not stay in the town for long and soon left. There were no disciples of Chunyang Palace here, nor was there any territory of Chunyang Palace. They basically could not find a place to stay. Although they could stay in the territories of the major sects for the night, it was not worth it to owe them unnecessary favors the moment they arrived. Yang Chen had the Dragon Palace with him, and Gong Sunling had the Mountain River geographical map. There was no place to stay. Why did they have to owe favors? Moreover, they were not comfortable staying in the town. Madame Bai and the others had made such a big noise that the reception disciples in the town, who had never been in contact with Yang Chen and had only heard of Yang Chen's name, were shocked and scared. With the mentality of these reception disciples, the atmosphere of Yang Chen's family staying in the town was very uncomfortable. Therefore, Yang Chen left with his wives and concubines of Chunyang Palace. They quickly left the town and rushed to an area that Yang Chen had long thought of. They were rootless duckweed in the immortal realm. The most important thing was to find a place to stay and get a foothold in Chunyang Palace, just like when they had just ascended to the spiritual realm. However, after leaving for a while, Yang Chen and the women returned to the Dragon Palace. The mysterious Sky Dark Sea shuttle flew in that direction without Yang Chen's constant control. In the Dragon Palace, Yang Chen, Gong Sunling, Zhou Xianying, and Tao Junkie bid farewell to Lin Jingyuan together. Madame Bai and the others had left, and Lin Jingyuan had returned to the familiar immortal realm. Naturally, he had to find his father and his family. It was time to leave. To be honest, after Lin Jingyuan met Yang Chen, he had not suffered any hardship and lived a very comfortable life. On this point, Lin Jingyuan could not deny it. If Yang Chen hadn't found Lin Jingyuan, with Lin Jingyuan's abnormal performance, he would not have been found by the Zhao family in the demonic tribulation and brought back to the Zhao family, or found by a certain sect and taken away, becoming a slave, or he would have been affected by the great calamity of the Zhao family that swept the spiritual world. He could not escape the fate of being controlled. His situation was so special that it was almost impossible for him to escape. In Lin Jingyuan's previous life, nothing happened in the spiritual realm. During the devil tribulation, Lin Jingyuan was controlled by a certain sect. He only regained his memories and cultivation when he ascended by chance one day. In this life, it could be said that Yang Chen had completely eliminated this calamity for him. Lin Jingyuan did not know what had happened in his previous life, but he had the ability to judge. He knew what would happen if he was not found by Yang Chen. At the same time, he was even more grateful to Yang Chen for introducing him to Madame Bai. When Madame Bai was about to leave, she even sent her personal maid to bid farewell to him. This meant that Lin Jingyuan had managed to enter Madame Bai's eyes. For Lin Jingyuan, this was enough. Madame Bai was Ancestor Lu's wife. Although Ancestor Lu's whereabouts were unknown, no one in the immortal realm dared to look down on Ancestor Lu, even though he was alone. In the future, if you have any orders, I dare not disobey. Lin Jingyuan was very straightforward. He also knew which side to take to make people happy. He directly expressed his attitude to Yang Chen. He even planned to help with the territory of Chunyang Palace. If you can't find a good place in a short time, I will discuss with my father and help Chunyang Palace to find a suitable place. Thank you for your kindness. Yang Chen was very satisfied with Lin Jingyuan's attitude and was also very happy. At least he did not save an ungrateful person. However, Yang Chen still did not want to let others handle the matter of the territory of Chunyang Palace. If it was Yang Chen's own matter, Yang Chen would not care about Lin Jingyuan's help. However, this was the matter of the sect. If Lin Jingyuan interfered, it would not be a simple communication between individuals. After saying goodbye to Lin Jingyuan, the people left here were really people that Yang Chen could completely trust. Needless to say, there were only 4 women and no one else. Husband, what does the Xiantian sect mean? Gao Yu finally could not help but ask about the Xiantian sect's jade slip. The other 3 women also looked at Yang Chen curiously, waiting for his answer. This is a deal between the Xiantian sect and our sect. Yang Chen picked up the jade slip and checked it. Even in front of the women, Yang Chen did not reveal the relationship between Yang Chen and the Xiantian sect. Some heavy pressure, Yang Chen would rather carry it by himself, and was not willing to let his wives and concubines follow him to be afraid. If the contents of the jade slip were to be read directly, it would definitely be a mess. However, if they were to use a unique method to re-examine and rearrange it, It would only show an address and nothing else. No matter what, the disciples of the Xiantian sect in the spiritual realm have entered my Chunyang palace. No matter what, I have to give the Xiantian sect an explanation. Yang Chun continued with a smile. Will the Xiantian sect fall out with us? Gao Yu was worried about this and nothing else. I think the people of the Xiantian sect know what happened when we accepted the disciples of the Xiantian sect. They can't blame us. Yang Chun smiled and indicated that it was fine. If the Xiantian sect can't even figure this out and insist on making a move indiscriminately, do you think the reception town will be so peaceful? Thinking about the attitude of the Xiantian sect disciple in the reception town, the women felt a little relieved. Especially Tao Junkie, she faced the disciple directly and did not feel the slightest hostility. This was a good sign. At least for the current situation, it was not a disaster. Shouldn't we go back to your house first? Yang Chun comforted the women's worries and then turned to Zhou Xianying. Let's not talk about anything else. After ascending to the immortal realm, we should at least visit Lord Tai and Lord Tai Shui. Otherwise, it would be too rude of me. His words made Zhou Xianying's face turn red. To be honest, Zhou Xianying was still a little nervous and did not know how to face her family. On one hand, she misunderstood that her father had turned her into that state. On the other hand, she was afraid that Yang Chun would not be acknowledged by her father, which would add to the awkwardness. Now that Yang Chun took the initiative to change the topic, Zhou Xianying was even more worried. If her father was angry at Yang Chun for marrying her without his consent and blamed Yang Chun, it would not be good. At that time, she would be stuck between her father and her husband. She would definitely be in a difficult position. Are you afraid that I won't be acknowledged by father-in-law? Yang Chun asked Zhou Xianying with a smile. Seeing Zhou Xianying nod, Yang Chun couldn't help but smile again. What are you afraid of? I'm here for everything. If father-in-law doesn't like me, then I'll have to measure what kind of person would be worthy of father-in-law's attention. Chapter 2502. Yang Chen was very confident, and Zhou Xianying was also influenced by Yang Chen's strong confidence. She was no longer worried, and a smile also appeared on her face. Among all the women, only Zhou Xianying would encounter such a situation. Everyone else ascended directly from the mortal world. Their parents in the mortal world had already passed away, so there was no such problem. Even if there was a matchmaker, the sect would do it for them. Only Zhou Xianying's situation was different. Her parents were still alive, and they were both in the immortal realm. Her father, Zhou Tianjun, was an important figure in the heavenly court. He was the heavenly lord who replaced the old heavenly court's Zhao Gongming. Most importantly, when Yang Chen married Zhou Xianying, he was in the spirit realm, and Zhou Xianying's parents didn't give their consent. In particular, Zhou Xianying wasn't Yang Chen's only wife. She was only one of his 5 concubines. Even though Zhou Xianying was the one who made the decision, it would still be a problem if her parents pursued the matter. Also, Yang Chen had too many women, which was a big problem. He didn't know if Zhou Xianying's parents would accept the fact that their daughter shared the same husband with another woman. Fortunately, Zhou Xianying was a concubine. If she was a concubine, Yang Chen probably wouldn't even need to pay a visit to Mount Tai. Zhou Tianjun would directly hunt him down. The daughter of Zhou Tianjun, one of the 4 great generals of the heavenly court, was someone else's concubine. Moreover, she was the concubine of a junior in the spirit realm. How could Zhou Tianjun tolerate it? He would definitely kill Yang Chen as soon as possible to vent his hatred. If he could prevent Zhou Tianjun from getting angry, the best way was to not let Zhou Tianjun know. Of course, that wasn't possible. Also, with Yang Chen's personality, since he married Zhou Xianying, why would he make it difficult for Zhou Xianying to return home just because of the possibility of fear? Marrying someone else's daughter naturally made him their junior. This didn't need to be mentioned. Therefore, whether it was for official or personal reasons, Yang Chen had to pay a visit in person. In order to show his respect, the best time was to pay a visit right after ascending. This was also the reason why Yang Chen chose to visit Zhou Tianjun at this time. He didn't do anything as soon as he arrived. The sect didn't even bother with the heavenly court and immediately rushed over to pay a visit. Whether it was sincerity or face, he had given Zhou Tianjun plenty. Although Zhou Xianying was worried, she was still satisfied with Yang Chen's arrangement to visit her parents as soon as they left the receiving town. He wanted to recall Zhou Tianjuan's residence, but he found that his husband was already on his way. Back when Zhou Xianying was sent to the spirit realm by Zhou Tianjun, the heavenly court hadn't changed yet. Zhou Tianjun wasn't a heavenly lord yet, and he didn't live in a mansion in the heavenly court, but in his sect. Zhou Xianying's memories of the immortal world were from before the changes in the heavenly court. It would be strange if she knew Zhou Tianjuan's current residence and status. In fact, Zhou Xianying really didn't know her father's current status. She still thought that her father was just a slightly famous expert. Therefore, even though she felt uneasy, she wasn't too worried. With her husband's excellence and future in Chunyang Palace, her father would definitely look at him in a different light. When Yang Chen stopped, Zhou Xianying and the other women still didn't know where they were. They were only startled when they saw the celestial soldiers and generals blocking their way. Where were they? Why were there celestial soldiers and generals inspecting them? What was even more eye-opening was that their husband only flashed a ring on his finger, and the celestial soldiers and generals carefully checked the authenticity of the ring. Then, they easily let Yang Chen and his family go. What ring is this? Gao Yu had seen the merit ring before, and Yang Chen had shown it many times. However, she didn't expect the ring to have such a use in the immortal world. She couldn't help but ask curiously. The exclusive merit ring of the heavenly court. Yang Chen replied with a smile. The women didn't pay much attention to it before, so Yang Chen didn't tell them. Now, he was showing off in front of the women. Although I'm not famous in the immortal world, I'm indeed an official of the heavenly court. Speaking of which, you're also the wives of officials. The women finally understood what Yang Chen was talking about. It turned out that the executioner in charge of the immortal beheading platform was also a small official of the heavenly court. Now that they were being teased by their husband, they immediately laughed. There was still a need to check the identity of the heavenly court here, so it was naturally where the heavenly court was. Previously, when they were in the Dragon Palace, they didn't feel it deeply. After they came out, they immediately felt a magnificent and majestic aura soaring into the sky from afar. It carried with it an infinite majesty, almost making them want to worship it. Fortunately, the women had felt this aura many times when they were cultivating with their husband. They had just reached the city gate and were still far away, so this pressure had almost no effect on the women. The women only dazed for a moment before returning to normal. Then, they looked in that direction curiously. That's the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Yang Chen smiled and explained when he saw everyone looking in that direction in a daze. The women came back to their senses and looked in that direction in confusion. Then, they looked at their husband. They had a stomach full of questions but didn't know how to ask. Why was the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches in their husband's consciousness so similar to the real cloudy palace of the Golden Arches? Are we going to find my father? Zhou Xianying had the highest cultivation and was the first to recover. She asked in confusion, the capital of the heavenly court? Is my father living here? Yang Chen smiled but didn't say anything. Although it was just a city, it was at least hundreds of thousands of miles away from the southern heavenly gate to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches. Yang Chen relied on the memories of his previous life and easily found the direction of the Heavenly Lord residence. Then, he quickly rushed over. Heavenly Lord residence? This is my home? Zhou Xianying still couldn't believe what she was seeing. It was obviously the residence of an important person, and there was a huge signboard on the door. Welcome back, young mistress. Just as Zhou Xianying was in a state of confusion, she suddenly heard a few feminine voices. The doors of the Heaven Monarch residence opened, and 2 rows of beautiful maids walked out gracefully and bowed to Zhou Xianying. Zhou Xianying finally saw a familiar face among the beautiful maids. It was one of the maids who served her in the past. Only then did she confirm that everything in front of her was real. Master and Madam have prepared a banquet to welcome young mistress and your close friends back home. That familiar maid walked forward and smiled at Zhou Xianying. Her face was filled with excitement and happiness. Inviting Zhou Xianying and her close friends was naturally Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi. However, Zhou Xianying was very surprised. Why didn't her husband Yang Chun be mentioned? Mr. Yang, Master has arranged another path for you. The maid who walked out to speak was still smiling. If Mr. Yang can complete the journey, Master and Madam will naturally meet you. With that, Yang Chun and the women understood that this was a test. Chapter 2503. Yang Chun and the girls came to the gate of the Lord of Heaven's mansion. With Zhou Tianjuan's cultivation, he could easily tell that they were his daughters. Therefore, as soon as they arrived at the gate, they were welcomed by the beautiful maids, and everything was arranged in a short time. Since the Lord of Heaven had arranged everything, Yang Chun had no choice but to obey respectfully. It seemed that the Lord of Heaven intended to measure Yang Chun's strength, so he did not make things difficult for Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi. Yang Chun was relieved to let Zhou Xianying and Gao Yu enter. Zhou Xianying followed her maid all the way into the Lord of Heaven's mansion. On the way, a large number of servants and maids bowed to Zhou Xianying respectfully and called her Mississippi. It was the first time for Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi to see the power of the Lord of Heaven. Among the maids and servants they saw along the way, the worst was at the peak of Golden Immortal, and the most common were Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals. Even a few housekeepers who seemed to have a high status were all innumerable tribulation true immortals. Even Zhou Xianying's maid, whose cultivation was similar to Zhou Xianying's, was now an early-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. When Zhou Xianying came to the mortal world, she was only a Xian Immortal. In just a few thousand years, she had reached the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal realm. However, the girls had seen Madame Bai with more than 1,000 innumerable tribulation true immortal maids, so this scene did not surprise them. Everyone just looked on without much of an expression on their faces. In the living room of the Lord of Heaven's mansion, a man with a square face and a dignified face was sitting on a wooden armchair with his eyes closed. He looked very calm, but his swallowing from time to time showed that he was nervous. Not far from the man sat a quiet woman. But now, this woman did not look quiet at all. After sitting for a while, she stood up, and sat down again. She looked very uneasy. It seemed that if the man did not sit still next to her, she would have run out in a hurry. "Auntie, you don't have to be nervous. Uncle has made thorough arrangements. Sister Ying's descent to the lower realm will definitely be foolproof." Below this man and woman, there was an extremely handsome man. He had an elegant demeanor and was cultured and refined. He smiled at the restless woman and comforted her. "Little sister Ying is already at the door. You'll see her soon. Auntie, don't be anxious." "How can I not be anxious?" The quiet lady, who was addressed as Auntie, almost could not hold back any more. She turned around and yelled at the man who had his eyes closed. Ying has been turned into such a horrible shape. God knows how much suffering and exhaustion she has suffered in the spiritual realm over the years. It's all his fault. Auntie, please don't blame Uncle. No matter how angry and hysterical the woman looked, the handsome man was still that kind of scholarly elegance. He slowly said, "Sister Ying is an outstanding beauty. If we don't do some protection, it will be bad if someone has bad intentions towards her." When little sister Ying was alone in the spiritual realm, safety was still the top priority. With this layer of protection, she would be safe and sound. See, Sister Ing has already returned safely. Humph, interesting. The man, who had his eyes closed, suddenly let out 2 cold laughs. Then, he said something unfathomable. Xiaoxian's female companions seem to have seen the world. They are facing so many experts and servants in my Heaven Lord residence, but they are not curious at all. Interesting. You still have the cheek to say that. The woman was very displeased and berated. Then, she looked at the door with longing eyes. The handsome man was a guest in another residence. He was too embarrassed to use his divine senses to scan. He couldn't see the specific situation and didn't know what had happened. He was even more embarrassed to ask. He could only forcefully endure it. Ziong, little Xian found a husband in the spiritual realm. You should know, right? The man who was sitting was obviously the owner of the Heaven Lord residence, Zhou Tianjun. At this moment, he finally opened his eyes and asked the handsome man. Uncle, I know. The man who was addressed as Ziong didn't have any change in his expression. He smiled and replied, but I don't mind. Little sister Ing doesn't have a matchmaker in the spiritual realm. She doesn't have parents. This marriage doesn't count. Moreover, I heard that little sister Ying's current husband is a playboy. He has a lot of women. Little sister Ing must have suffered a lot. I'm not talented, but I'm willing to devote myself to little sister Ing. I will definitely treat little sister Ing well. That's not enough. Look at little Xian. She doesn't seem to have suffered any grievances. The quiet woman was obviously the wife of the Heaven Lord. At this moment, she could see Zhou Xianying's appearance through her divine senses. She said with some doubt, the seal that your uncle said no one in the spiritual realm can undo has also been undone. Even if little sister Ing has suffered grievances, who can she complain to elsewhere? The handsome young Master Ziong shook his head and said, Auntie, you must have heard about some things that happened in the lower domain. You must have been deceived by those people's good words. Those people only want to benefit themselves. Who would care about little sister Ying's life? Didn't you also hear that back then, little sister Ing was called Granny Tianqin? Many people wanted to kill her. Why would those people wish for her well? It would have been better if Granny Tianqin was not mentioned. Once Granny Tianqin's name was mentioned, the wife of the Heaven Lord looked like she wanted to cry. It's all his fault. He turned my daughter into such an ugly monster. If I were little Xian, I wouldn't even be able to live for a day. My poor little Xian. Didn't someone undo it already? What do women know? Zhou Tianjun listened at the side and was unwilling. If it wasn't for his seal, his daughter might have been lusted by those in the lower domain and become a human cauldron. Wasn't this all because of his seal? Women were women. Could they not live if they became a little uglier? When Zhou Tianjun thought this, he forgot that his seal made Zhou Xianying extremely ugly. It made her ugly to the point of her grandma's house. Because of that, Granny Tianqin's unruly character was formed. Unfortunately, Zhou Tianjun was a man after all. He could not imagine the importance of looks to women. Ziong, we all know how you feel about little Xian. After dealing with the wife, Zhou Tianjun turned to Ziong and said sincerely, however, since little Xian has found her lover in the spiritual realm, we will not object as long as she is willing. If Xiao Xian fails to live up to your expectations, please forgive me. Uncle, please don't say that. The handsome Ziong had an intoxicating smile on his face and replied politely, why would I make things difficult for uncle and auntie? Don't worry, this nephew will definitely make that lecher retreat in the face of difficulties, and rescue Sister Ing from the hands of that lecherous person. Chapter 2504. When Zhou Xianying arrived with Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi, before Zhou Xianying could greet her parents, she was pulled into her arms by her mother. She cried and called out their nickname, Xiao Xian, and did not let go. Zhou Tianjun, on the other hand, was still calm. Although there was a lot of love in his eyes, he did not move much and was rather calm. You are all Xiaoxian's close friends. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoxian in the spiritual realm. After taking a few glances at Zhou Xianying, Zhou Tianjun turned his attention to Gao Yu and spoke to the three women warmly. From Zhou Xianying's point of view, Zhou Tianjun was the elder. Zhou Tianjun was the elder when the elder cared about the younger and expressed his gratitude. No matter what, Zhou Tianjun was very polite. However, when Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi saw the handsome Xiang, they instinctively felt a little uncomfortable. This was the moment when Zhou Xianying reunited with her parents. Where did this man come from? The three women did not hear Zhou Xianying say that she had a brother or something. This guy was obviously not Zhou Xianying's family. Moreover, this guy had been sitting there from the beginning until now. His eyes kept moving around Zhou Xianying's body. One look and one could tell that he was not a good person. Greetings, father, mother. When Madame Tianjun calmed down, Zhou Xianying greeted Zhou Tianjun and his wife again. Because of Yang Chen's guidance, Zhou Xianying did not resent Zhou Tianjun like in her previous life. She also understood Zhou Tianjun's painstaking efforts and was very calm. Finally, Zhou Tianjun nodded in satisfaction and softly acknowledged. However, the happiness on his face could not be concealed no matter what. When the father and daughter gradually calmed down, Madame Tianjun calmed down and greeted the three with a smile. Younger sistering, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Only then did the handsome Xiang salute Zhou Xianying. Zhou Xianying did not know this person at all, but he was so friendly. If it was the old Granny Tianqin, Zhou Xianying would have already turned hostile. However, Zhou Xianying restrained herself in front of her parents. The fact that this guy was here meant that he had something to do with Zhou Tianjun. She couldn't embarrass her father. Xiaoxian, this is my best friend's son, Zhao Xiang. Zhou Tianjun introduced. I heard that you ascended recently, so I came to congratulate you. The gentle sound fairy, Zhou Xianying, was definitely a well-educated and well-mannered lady. No matter how unhappy he was with this fellow, he still had to give her some face when she came to congratulate him. Therefore, Zhou Xianying still greeted him politely. Little sister Ing has just ascended. I shouldn't say such things to spoil the mood. However, there are some things that I must say. Zhao Xiang went straight to the point and said to Zhou Xianying, I'm afraid the man you found in the spiritual realm is not a good match. As soon as Zhao Xiang said this, not only Zhou Xianying, but also Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi's expressions changed. This guy was the first person to slander Yang Chen so directly in front of them. While the women were angry, Yang Chen had already walked to the arranged passage. Separating Yang Chen from the women was clearly someone who wanted to test Yang Chen's quality. The biggest possibility of this matter was the arrangement of Zhou Tianjun. No matter how famous Yang Chen was in the spiritual world, in the immortal world, Yang Chen was just a younger generation who had just ascended. Whether he had the ability or not, it was not to listen to other people's rumors. The best way was to test it himself. Yang Chen was now facing such a situation, and it was a test that he couldn't refuse. No matter what, the other party was his Mount Tai. Since he married the other party's daughter without asking, he had to obediently follow Zhou Tianjuan's arrangement. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to the elders. Yang Chen was not stupid to give his father-in-law a bad impression before they met. The passage in front of him seemed to be empty, there was nothing, but Yang Chen knew that it must be dangerous. He just didn't know whether this Mount Tai really wanted to test the depth of Yang Chen or to teach him a lesson. Looking ahead, Yang Chen smiled slightly and shook his head, then lifted his foot and stepped into the passage. This place that looked like a passage was actually a long array, but he didn't know how powerful the array was. With just one step, the scene in front of him changed immediately. The long passage instantly turned into a wilderness. Before Yang Chen released his spiritual awareness to explore around, a bomb had exploded above his head. Without thinking about it, Yang Chen immediately released the Tai Chi golden ball. This was the heavenly monarch mansion, his father-in-law's mansion. Yang Chen couldn't show off too much, so Yang Chen only released the Tai Chi golden ball. It was extremely restrained, only blocking an inch in front of him. It didn't look like a ball, but a human like Yang Chen, except it was constantly changing between black and white. The bomb exploded on top of Yang Chen's head, but it was directly blocked by the Tai Chi golden ball, not causing the slightest damage. Yang Chen's footsteps didn't stop, and he continued to move forward in a straight line. With every step he took, a different attack would appear, and the power of each attack would be much greater than the previous one. Based on this trend, an ordinary cultivator wouldn't even be able to take 100 steps before being completely restrained by the power of the array. They might even be in danger of getting injured. If they force themselves to move forward when they reach their limit, under the increasing power of the attack, they would inevitably be injured, and in serious cases, their lives would be in danger. Perhaps this was Zhou Tianjuan's intention to see where Yang Chen's limit was, whether his cultivation could reach a satisfactory level, and whether he was willing to risk his life for Zhou Xianying. Yang Chen took 100 steps forward, and the power of the array's attack had reached the level of a peak golden immortal. Presumably, the power of the attack would continue to increase to the level of a zenith heaven golden immortal, or even an innumerable tribulation true immortal. This was the immortal realm, and a formation set up by an innumerable tribulation true immortal could easily achieve this. If he goes forward, he will have to bear the attack of a zenith heaven golden immortal. Does he dare to go forward for Sister Ing? The situation inside the formation was now displayed on a mirror in front of Zhou Tianjun. Seeing that Yang Chen was a little hesitant, Zhao Ziong couldn't help but interrupt, not to mention that he's lascivious and half-hearted. If he doesn't even dare to take risks for Sister Ing, how can he make Sister Ing fall in love with him? Doesn't dare? Hearing that Zhao Ziong looked down on their husband, Zhou Xianying, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi all looked at Zhao Ziong as if they were looking at an idiot. This guy didn't know how powerful their husband was at all, and he probably just listened to hearsay. They really didn't know where he got his confidence from. Chapter 2505. The reason why Yang Chen stopped was that Yang Chen suddenly understood the mystery of the formation. This formation was not controlled by an infinite tribulation true immortal, but by 3 zenith heaven golden immortals. In other words, no matter how powerful this formation was, it could only reach the attack power of a zenith heaven golden immortal. It could not be improved indefinitely. Yang Chen even had a clue how to break the formation. It was very easy to get out of this formation. As long as he followed a certain pattern, he could get out of the formation in a dozen steps at most. However, Yang Chen did not intend to do that. Since Zhou Tianjun wanted to see Yang Chen's limit, it would be insincere and disrespectful to use this method to get out of the formation. Just standing in the same place for 2 breaths, Yang Chen continued to move forward. The next attack was no longer a simple spiritual power attack. It began to be mixed with ordinary flying sword. In this regard, Yang Chen just smiled and was not worried at all. Whether it was the golden ball of Tai Chi or his golden body technique, they were enough to resist this level of flying sword attack. Even if it had reached the level of a zenith heaven golden immortal, it was really not enough in front of Yang Chen's abnormal defense. Ding, ding, ding. All the flying sword and magic weapon bounced off the golden ball of Tai Chi. It was impossible for them to get close to Yang Chen's body, let alone to touch Yang Chen's body. In the face of such a powerful attack, Yang Chen felt nothing and kept moving forward. Whether it was the spiritual power attack or the magic weapon attack, they were all easily resisted. After a while, he had taken more than a dozen steps forward and was still moving forward. On Zhou Tianjuan's side, the 4 women could no longer be bothered to argue with Zhao Ziong. Their husband's performance was enough to shatter his previous words of belittlement, which made Zhao Ziong lose a lot of face. Zhao Ziong was already a zenith heaven golden immortal. In terms of cultivation, He was not afraid of anyone in Yang Chen's family. However, he was now a guest at Zhou Tianjuan's house, and his main target was Zhou Xianying. Naturally, he couldn't show off too much in case it backfired. As long as he could leave a good impression in front of Zhou Xianying and make her slightly dissatisfied with Yang Chen, it would be fine. There was still a long way to go in the future. As for the little predicament in front of him, it seemed like he had been counterattacked. However, Zhao Ziong knew very well what the final outcome of this array formation would be. The purpose of the formation was to see where Yang Chen's limit was. Although Zhou Tianjun had only arranged for 3 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals to preside over the formation, it was enough to deal with a Golden Immortal Junior who had just ascended. What's more, Zhao Ziong had also bribed one of the masters in charge of the formation. He would definitely make a fool of Yang Chen at a critical moment. Yang Chen was just a Golden Immortal. How could he withstand the combined power of 3 perfected Golden Immortals and the formation? The final outcome would definitely be that Yang Chen was restrained by the formation in the most embarrassing way, making a fool of himself in front of everyone and losing face. He believed that no matter how much Zhou Xianying liked Yang Chen, when she saw Yang Chen's embarrassing state, it would inevitably make her feel that Yang Chen had made her lose face in front of her parents and Zhao Ziong, leaving a grudge in her heart. Zhao Ziong was very confident in women's hearts. Not to mention Zhou Xianying, it was estimated that even Gao Yu, Gong Sunling and Tao Junqi had the same thoughts. As long as there was a grudge between them, Zhao Ziong could take advantage of it. Zhou Xianying was a rare girl with exceptional aptitude and beauty. As long as he could get his hands on her, not only would he have a stunning dual cultivation partner, he would also have Zhou Tianjun as his backer. Why wouldn't he do it? As for Gao Yu and the others, as long as he dealt with Yang Chen, he could still secretly capture them and make them his tripod furnaces. It was said that Yang Chen's wives and concubines were all of excellent aptitudes. Unfortunately, the disciples of a small sect with no foundation could only benefit the big shot. At this time, whoever made the first move would get the first move. Zhao Ziong thought that if he made the move early enough, he would still have a lot of opportunities. In Zhao Ziong's mind, Yang Chen still walked forward calmly. Now the attack power of the formation had reached the level of middle-stage perfected Golden Immortal, but for Yang Chen, this attack power was still not enough. The attack of the formation did not even scratch the edge of the Tai Chi Golden Ball, and the attack only one step apart gave the Tai Chi Golden Ball enough time to recover, so that Yang Chen could easily restore the Tai Chi Golden Ball to its best state. It seemed that Yang Chen had no difficulty at all, but he still had his own trump card. Now it was still the normal power of the formation, and the master he had bribed to preside over the formation had not made a move yet. Zhao Ziong began to feel a little bad, but he still had his own trump card. Now it was still the normal power of the formation, and the master he had bribed to preside over the formation had not made a move yet. Zhao Ziong did not believe that Yang Chen, a junior at the early stage of Golden Immortal, could resist the attack of a peak-perfected Golden Immortal, which was infinitely close to the power of an innumerable tribulation true Immortal. Even Zhao Ziong himself, a dignified perfected Golden Immortal, did not dare to say that he could hold on to the present situation. It should be attributed to the black and white protective magic weapon on Yang Chen's body that played a big role. The more it was like this, the more Zhao Ziong was dissatisfied. Why? Zhao Ziong had been in the immortal realm for thousands of years, but he had not obtained a decent magic treasure. He had to rely on the relationship between his father and Zhou Tianjun to secretly have designs on Zhou Tianjuan's daughter. Yang Chen was just a junior. How could he have such an extraordinary protective magic treasure? However, although Zhao Ziong was dissatisfied, he did not show it on his face. He still had the image of an elegant child with a smile on his face. In his heart, he was thinking about when he should take action, so that he could get all the good things on Yang Chen. After the immortal realm was threatened by the Zhao family, the news from the spiritual realm continued to spread for hundreds of years. Every cultivator who ascended to the immortal realm would inevitably mention the name of Yang Chen. The good things on Yang Chen's body were even more salivating. They didn't know how Yang Chen and the others came here on such a long journey from the town to the capital of the heavenly court. Didn't any cultivators have any ideas? Zhao Ziang would never know how scary it was when thousands of innumerable tribulation true immortals appeared outside the receiving town to support Yang Chen. On the contrary, there were many cultivators who had designs on Yang Chen. But after seeing that scene, they were smart enough to not make a move. Unless they also brought a large number of innumerable tribulation true immortals to attack, as long as they dared to attack, they would be killed. No one would doubt this. Unfortunately, the news had not spread to the capital. Neither Zhou Tianjun nor Zhao Ziang knew how scary that scene was. That was why Zhou Tianjun made this arrangement to test the quality of his son-in-law. If Zhou Tianjun knew that the woman behind Yang Chen was Ancestor Lu's wife, he would not dare to treat his son-in-law like this. Chapter 2506. No matter how slow the news spread, a junior Golden Immortal, who seemed to be only at the early stage of Golden Immortal, was able to withstand the attack of a late-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. This could no longer be described as a miracle. Even Zhou Tianjun and Madam of Heavenly Lord put away their previous contempt and began to look at this son-in-law whom they had only met for the first time. Previously, Zhou Tianjun and Madam of Heavenly Lord were misled by some rumors. They felt that their beautiful daughter was with a boy with an uncertain future, especially that this boy was a lustful pervert. Not only did he occupy a bunch of women, but he also used some unknown means to confuse Zhou Xianying, which made them very dissatisfied. In particular, Zhao Ziang's recent lobbying said that Yang Chen must want to use Zhou Xianying to establish a relationship with Zhou Tianjun, and then use this relationship to obtain benefits for Chunyang Palace. He even did not hesitate to use this relationship to fight against the powerful Xiantian sect. This made them have a very bad impression on their son-in-law, whom they had never met. But now, from the beginning to the present, whether it was Yang Chen's attitude towards them or the strength he had shown, it was like a miracle. It was normal for a little guy who had just ascended to heaven to have insufficient cultivation, but what Yang Chen showed now was not a weakness of insufficient cultivation, but a genius with great potential. Not to mention his great potential in combat, he was an unheard-of monstrous master in alchemy. Combining these 2 points, Yang Chen's future was absolutely limitless. If they were not satisfied with such a son-in-law, then there was really no one else who could attract their attention. Zhao Ziang naturally saw the satisfied attitude on the faces of Zhou Tianjun and his wife, and he could not help but feel anxious. He had finally slandered Yang Chen in front of Zhou Tianjun and his wife, and was ready to encourage them to separate Yang Chen and Zhou Xianying in order to achieve a good deed. In the future, he could also use the power of Zhou Tianjun to enjoy the fruits of others' labor in the immortal realm. But if Zhou Tianjun and his wife were very satisfied with Yang Chen, how could he carry out his plan? Fortunately, the master he arranged next would definitely make a fool of Yang Chen. Zhao Ziang was not in a hurry and just watched quietly. But he already had a bad feeling in his heart. That expert should have taken action earlier. Why did he wait for Yang Chen to show that he could resist the attack of a late-stage, almighty immortal before taking action? Wasn't this just flattering Yang Chen? They didn't know that the 3 perfected golden immortals who were in charge of the formation were already in a difficult position. Against a gold immortal junior with such a formation, an ordinary gold immortal would at most be at the peak of the gold immortal realm. But now, the 3 of them were about to give it their all, and yet, Yang Chen's protective magic treasure was not damaged at all. This was a blatant mockery of them. The expert arranged by Zhao Ziang had already made his move. At this moment it was even more intense. It was not that there were no geniuses in the immortal plane who could defeat opponents on a higher level. However, that was something that only cultivators who had been cultivating in the immortal plane for many years could do. Yang Chun had just ascended to the immortal plane. How could it be possible? If in the future, his colleagues in the immortal plane knew that Yang Chun, who had just ascended, relied on a protective magic treasure to make them helpless, the one who would be embarrassed would not be Yang Chun, but the three of them, and even Zhou Tianjun. The dignified Lord of Heaven's mansion did not even have a cultivator who could suppress a junior. Wasn't that shameful? At this moment, Madam of Heaven's mansion was still in the state of a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. The more she looked at him, the more she liked him. But Zhou Tianjun had already thought of something else from the power of the formation. His face was also very ugly. To suppress a junior who had just ascended, the Lord of Heaven's mansion had sent 3 perfected golden immortals. If this news spread out, how would Zhou Tianjun face it? Although the 3 perfected golden immortals were only at the mid-stage of perfected golden immortal, if they could not suppress a golden immortal junior, it would definitely be an embarrassing matter. Seeing that Yang Chun continued to move forward and the power of the formation was getting stronger, to the point that the 3 perfected golden immortals were showing signs of being unable to withstand it, Zhou Tianjun was surprised by Yang Chen's protective magic treasure. At the same time, he could not help but feel a little angry. With his hand behind his back, he secretly made a gesture and threw it at the formation that was testing Yang Chen's limit. In the Lord of Heaven's mansion, who would dare to casually probe Zhou Tianjuan's movements? Therefore, no one noticed Zhou Tianjuan's action at all. However, the spirits of the 3 perfected golden immortals in the formation were lifted, and a copious amount of power was added to the formation, allowing them to easily raise the offensive power of the formation to the peak of perfected golden immortal. Finally, Yang Chen's Tai Chi golden ball could no longer withstand such a level of attack. Under the next attack, it broke with a loud bang. As early as in the spiritual realm, the women had seen the scene of Yang Chen's Tai Chi golden ball being punched by Brother Li Cheng. At this moment, seeing the same scene, they were not surprised at all. The intensity of this attack was not enough to hurt their husband, but his performance would definitely surprise Zhou Tianjun and his wife. It was indeed so. Zhou Tianjun and his wife were not the only ones who were surprised. The 3 perfected golden immortals and Zhao Xiang, who were in charge of the formation, were also surprised. They thought that Yang Chun would not be able to take a step forward without his protective magic treasure. At this time, if he stood still, it would be extremely embarrassing, and he could only beg for mercy and admit defeat. In this way, Zhou Tianjun had both face and strength, and Yang Chun had persisted to the peak of perfected golden immortal. Apart from a little flaw in begging for mercy, his performance was also good. Both sides could be said to be happy. Of course, as long as Yang Chun begged for mercy, the happiest person would be Zhao Xiang. A scholar would rather be killed than humiliated. As soon as Yang Chun spoke, it was destined that he could not risk his life for Zhou Xianying. This was enough to give him enough room to operate and drive a wedge between them. In this way, Zhao Xiang was also a natural winner. However, the next scene was unbelievable. In the case that his protective magic treasure had been shattered, Yang Chun was not afraid of the attack of the peak of perfected golden immortal at all and took another step forward. Boom! The powerful attack fell on Yang Chun's unprotected body. Everyone thought that Yang Chun would be seriously injured and vomit blood. Did not happen. Yang Chun seemed to be fine. He forcibly took the attack of the formation, and without a rest, he stepped forward again. As Yang Chun moved forward, the attack of the formation fell again. However, without the help of Zhou Tianjun, the 3 perfected golden immortals were already in a state of exhaustion. They barely managed to launch a blow, and the 3 masters who were in charge of the formation all fainted. The last blow fell on Yang Chen's body, and it was not much heavier than a mosquito bite. Yang Chen easily dusted off the clothes on his body, and then along the passage that has been revealed, he walked towards a few people who were stunned. Chapter 2507. Kid Yang Chen greets Lord of Heaven, greets Auntie. Yang Chen walked to the front and bowed to Zhou Tianjun and Madam of the Lord of Heaven and Madam of the Lord of Heaven. In terms of address, Yang Chen also seemed to be very interesting. He addressed Zhou Tianjun as Lord of Heaven, but when he addressed Madam of the Lord of Heaven, he became Auntie, which showed a faint closeness. Madam of the Lord of Heaven looked very satisfied. Her son-in-law, who had just ascended, was so powerful and polite. The more she looked at him, the more she liked him. However, Zhou Tianjun was not so happy. He had personally taken action, but he still failed to stop Yang Chen, which made him feel a little embarrassed. He just snorted coldly as an answer to Yang Chen. At this time, Zhou Tianjun also saw that in addition to the powerful protective magic weapon, Yang Chen's body refining technique was also at the peak. The yellow turban strongman body refining technique that Yang Chen cultivated was originally a body refining technique of the immortal world. Zhou Tianjun was very knowledgeable. How could he not see the reason? What surprised Zhou Tianjun was that Yang Chen had just ascended, but the yellow turban strongman body refining technique had been cultivated to at least the peak of the sky raising strength, which made Zhou Tianjun really surprised. Even among the cultivators in the immortal world, there were few cultivators who could cultivate the yellow turban strongman body refining technique to this realm. Yang Chen could reach such a realm, either with great wisdom or with great opportunities. For cultivators, these two, no matter which one, were enviable. Brother Yang originally cultivated the yellow turban strongman body refining technique. What a pity! Before Zhou Tianjun spoke, Zhao Ziang had already spoken. There was a kind of pity and regret in his tone, as if Yang Chen's cultivation of the yellow turban strongman body refining technique was a waste of God's gift. Who is Zhao Ziang? Yang Chen didn't know who Zhao Ziang was and didn't want to know. But this guy could stand here at this time, and even interrupted on this occasion. He must be a big shot, so Yang Chen asked. Zhao Ziang. In the eyes of Zhao Ziang, Yang Chen was just a small character with no foundation in the immortal world. It was not worth it for him to make friends with him. Therefore, he didn't even use some humble appellation such as, this old man, and directly said his name. I'm Yang Chen, a deacon of the heavenly court. May I know where Brother Zhao is from? As he spoke, Yang Chen flashed the merit ring on his hand at Zhao Ziang and cupped his hands. Yang Chen said that he was a deacon of the celestial heavens, and this couldn't be fake. Although the executioner of the immortal slaying platform was small, he was indeed a part of the celestial heavens. He had merit rings, a salary, and a specialized responsibility. Who was Zhao Ziang? His father held a position in the heavenly court, but he was just a small official. Zhao Ziang himself did not even have the qualification to enter the heavenly court. Although he was a zenith heaven golden immortal, he was still far from it. Many 10,000 tribulation true immortals did not have the chance to become one. As soon as Yang Chen flashed his official position, Zhao Ziang immediately lost his previous pride. No matter how much he belittled Yang Chen in his heart, he didn't dare to show it in front of Zhou Tianjun, who also served in the heavenly court. Did he dare to stand here and say that he looked down on the officials of the heavenly court? Or could he refute that what Yang Chen said was a lie? After being speechless for a while, Zhao Ziang could only think of a way to reverse the situation, change the topic, and bring the topic back to the topic that could suppress Yang Chen before. I mean, the body refining technique that Brother Yang cultivates is not presentable. To be honest, the yellow turban strongman body refining technique was indeed not presentable among the cultivators in the immortal world. The cultivators who cultivated this kind of body refining technique basically had no choice but to cultivate it after they had no hope of cultivating other technique. Although the threshold for cultivating the yellow turban strongman body refining technique was very high, as long as it was a cultivator who had ascended to the immortal world and experienced many heavenly tribulations, most of the cultivators could meet this condition. Therefore, this body refining technique was the lowest threshold and the lowest grade in the immortal world. It was precisely because of this that Zhao Ziang would try to lead the topic to this. Let Zhou Tianjun and Madame Heavenly Lord see the vulgarity of Yang Chen, and at the same time hit Yang Chen, showing his own sense of superiority. Oh? The body refining technique that can let me block the two attacks just now is not presentable? Yang Chen did not show weakness, and immediately followed the topic to the body refining technique, as if he didn't know anything. In the face of Yang Chen's questioning, Zhao Ziang suddenly didn't know how to answer. The yellow turban strongman body refining technique was not presentable, but this does not mean that all the cultivators who cultivated the yellow turban strongman body refining technique were not presentable. As long as they could cultivate to the sixth layer, they were almost invincible among the cultivators in the same realm. It's just that there are not many cultivators who can cultivate to the sixth level of the yellow turban strongman body refining technique from the immortal world. Zhao Ziang has never seen them and subconsciously ignored this problem. But when Yang Chen asked a question, Zhao Ziang suddenly found that he seemed to have given Yang Chen a chance to show his face. Zhao Ziang's low cultivation base and lack of knowledge did not mean that Zhou Tianjun had not seen the master of the yellow turban strongman body refining technique. In addition, Yang Chen's rhetorical question was almost a reminder. How could Zhou Tianjun not guess that Yang Chen's yellow turban strongman body refining technique had at least reached the sixth layer? The specific realm was not easy to say. Zhou Tianjun had not cultivated it and was not clear, but Yang Chen's realm was definitely not low. What was potential? What was a limitless future? As soon as he ascended, he was a golden immortal. As soon as he ascended, he cultivated the yellow turban strongman body refining technique to the sixth layer of gravity. Before he ascended, he was an 8th grade alchemist master. In the spiritual world, he improved the broken limb regeneration pill. This was the infinite potential and the boundless future. After others ascended to the immortal world, they didn't know how many years of hard cultivation they would have the opportunity to enter the heavenly court, but his son-in-law seemed to have been a member of the heavenly court since the mortal world. This starting point was already much higher than other ordinary cultivators. Not to mention anything else, just the length of service alone could kill more than 99% of the officials of the heavenly court. It must be known that most of the officials of the new heavenly court were promoted after the death of the people of the old heavenly court. It was Yang Chen, the executioner, who killed these officials. If you think about it from the perspective of accepting Yang Chen, the things that Zhou Tianjun thought were shameful before immediately became Zhou Tianjun's pride. His son-in-law was so competitive and gave him face. Was that a bad thing? As soon as Zhao Ziang saw the subtle changes in Zhou Tianjun's eyes, he knew that something bad was going to happen. If Zhou Tianjun changed his mind because of Yang Chen's power, then wouldn't all his previous preparations be in vain? Brother Yang, your method of breaking the array, relying on protective magic weapons and body refining techniques to force your way through, seems a bit inferior. Zhao Ziang's mind turned quickly and he immediately came up with another plan. The original purpose of the Heavenly Lord test is not just to protect. Chapter 2508. Brother Zhao, feel free to speak your mind. Yang Chen's expression was very strange, as if he was trying to hold back his laughter. Not only Yang Chen, but also Zhou Xianying, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi. As for Zhou Tianjun and Madame, they were still shrewd and could not see anything. Relying on a tortoise shell to block all attacks in the formation is the most unorthodox method. Since Zhao Ziang was determined to find trouble with Yang Chen, he was not afraid of offending Yang Chen. Anyway, he could say whatever he wanted to make Yang Chen feel ashamed. It's the Lord of Heaven's kindness to choose 3 early-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals to preside over the formation. If there were 3 innumerable tribulation true Immortals, I'm afraid Brother Yang's magic treasure would not be able to block them no matter how powerful it is. After saying that, Zhao Ziang stared at Yang Chen, as if he wanted to see some shame on Yang Chen's face. However, to Zhao Ziang's disappointment, Yang Chen's face not only did not have a look that he expected, but it was full of playfulness. After a while, Yang Chen opened his mouth. "Brother Zhao, you were born in the immortal realm, right?" Yang Chen did not directly answer Zhao Ziang's question, but asked about Zhao Ziang's origin. "And you should be born after the new heavenly court was stabilized, right?" "That's right." Zhao Ziang puffed out his chest with a proud expression on his face as he quickly replied. This was what Zhao Ziang was most proud of. He was born in the immortal world and cultivated under the spiritual pressure of the immortal world since his birth. He was influenced by the immortal world. Compared to those country bumpkins who had to overcome all obstacles and go through heavenly tribulations to ascend to the immortal world, he was born noble. In particular, Zhao Ziang was born in the capital of the heavenly court, which was a place where only immortals of immortals could live. Without experiencing the unbearably coarse aura of the spiritual world of the mortal world, his physical body was absolutely pure, and he was of noble birth. Not to mention those who ascended from the spiritual world of the mortal world, he didn't even care about cultivators who didn't live in the capital city. This was the sense of superiority that Zhao Ziang was most proud of. It was precisely because of this that Zhao Ziang had taken a fancy to Zhou Xianying, who was also born in the immortal world. Only such a woman was worthy of him, and only she was qualified to be his Tao companion. Even though Zhou Xianying had also ascended from the spirit realm, she had returned to the immortal realm after being sent down by celestial Lord Zhou, so she couldn't be described as ascended. At most, she was a city dweller who had returned to the city after living in the countryside for a few days, and was still a noble citizen of the heavenly court. The only flaw was that Zhou Xianying was already a married woman, but she had a heavenly lord father, which was barely enough for Zhao Ziang to overlook this small flaw. How could Zhao Ziang not be happy when Yang Chen directly asked him about his proudest point? He answered quickly, and also took the opportunity to remind Celestial Lord Zhou that he was the best match for Zhou Xianying, and that this lustful country bumpkin couldn't be compared to him. Zhao Ziang's answer also made Yang Chen and the women secretly laugh in their hearts. Only a spoiled brat like him, who had always lived under the protection of his parents, would do such a strange thing and say such brainless words. You couldn't blame him. This kind of person thought that he was above everyone else since he was young, and had never experienced any hardships, so he was full of himself. Not to mention the fierce competition in the spirit realm in the mortal world, even his cultivation had been smooth sailing, and he hadn't suffered in the slightest. To say that he was arrogant was an exaggeration. He was just a piece of trash who didn't know anything. Then, in Brother Zhao's opinion, how should we break this formation? Yang Chen couldn't be bothered to argue with this kind of trash. Ever since he knew what kind of background he had, he didn't have any intention of arguing with him, and would just do what he could to get rid of him as quickly as possible. Please forgive me for my impudence. Zhao Ziang completely ignored Yang Chen, and turned to bow to Celestial Lord Zhou. When facing Celestial Lord Zhou, Zhao Ziang was absolutely graceful. Celestial Lord Zhou was originally the host, but now he had become a spectator. After Yang Chen asked about Zhao Ziang's background, Celestial Lord Zhou immediately made his choice. Previously, because Zhao Ziang was the descendant of an old friend, he wanted to be closer to him. Even if Zhao Ziang said bad things about Yang Chen, he would tolerate it. It was just that he didn't like Yang Chen a little. But now, Zhao Ziang's clumsy performance directly alerted Celestial Lord Zhou. It was one thing for fathers to have a good relationship, but it was another thing for children to not live up to expectations. If he really let his daughter be with such a person, it would be the greatest irresponsibility to his daughter. Celestial Lord Zhou didn't care what Zhao Ziang wanted to show off, and nodded, indicating that he could do as he pleased. But at this time, in his heart, he was already paying more attention to Yang Chun. The three Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Generals walked out of Zhao Ziang's spatial magic treasure and quickly set up another formation on the side of the passage that Yang Chun had just walked through. Zhao Ziang gave Yang Chun a provocative look and said to Yang Chun, "Watch how I break the formation." It looked like the same array formation. Zhao Ziang walked into the array formation and only took 3 steps. He received 3 attacks that did not hurt him at all. Then, he walked out of the array formation in a very relaxed manner with a strange pace. I only took 3 attacks to find the formation eye of the formation and the way to break it. Zhao Ziang said arrogantly to Yang Chun, "There is no need to rely on the protective magic treasure to last until the end. You have to use your brain when doing things. If you only know how to use brute force, you can only be a mediocre yellow turban strongman." While Zhao Ziang was showing off, he didn't notice that even Celestial Lord Zhou's wife had frowned. Gao Yu, Zhou Xianying and the other women were holding back their laughter. As for Celestial Lord Zhou, he had a deep look, and no one could tell what he was thinking. His family general had set up a formation. Maybe Zhao Ziang had already studied the principle of the formation. He even pretended to say that he found the formation eye after taking 3 attacks. Could this be more fake? Even Yang Chun shook his head repeatedly. He really had an unfair advantage. It was no wonder that with Zhao Ziang's background, how outstanding could he be? However, this guy actually wanted to hit on Zhou Xianying. In any case, he had to teach him a lesson. Actually, there is a simpler and more direct way to break this formation. Yang Chun sighed and said to Zhao Ziang, "Humph. I don't believe that there is a faster way to break the formation than walking out directly." How could Zhao Ziang believe it? He immediately said to Yang Chun, "How about Brother Yang demonstrate it on the spot?" His family general presided over the formation. As long as Yang Chun entered the formation, he would definitely make Yang Chun embarrassed. Zhao Ziang almost spared no effort to provoke Yang Chun to take the initiative to walk into the formation. "Okay, I will try it." To Zhao Ziang's surprise, Yang Chun actually fell for his provocation and took the initiative to agree to enter the formation. "Brother Yang, please." Zhao Ziang made a gesture of invitation, unusually sincere. As the heavens can testify, this invitation was definitely Zhao Ziang's most sincere and unadulterated sincerity towards Yang Chun during this period of time. Chapter 2509. Stepping into the formation, Yang Chun did not wait for the formation to start and directly pulled out the beheading immortal blade. The killing intent of the immortal beheading saber broke out in the formation unscrupulously. The killing intent that had killed countless Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals and 10,000 Tribulation True Immortals instantly shocked the 3 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals in the formation. Shao Tian once again wrapped around Yang Chen's wrist, but what surprised Yang Chen was that because of the appearance of Shao Tian, there was a spike behind the handle of the beheading immortal blade. After killing Aosin, Yang Chen never used the beheading immortal blade in the spiritual world, because there was no opponent in the spiritual world worthy of him drawing his blade. In the immortal world, all the troubles of Madame Bai were gone. Naturally, there was no need for Yang Chen to draw his blade, so Yang Chen himself did not know what changes had happened to Shao Tian. This spike, he had never seen it before. The shape seemed familiar. Yang Chen looked at it and finally recognized it. What kind of spike was this? It was clearly 2 dragon pagodas combined into one. Why did it seem familiar? If it was a single dragon pagoda, Yang Chen could recognize it at a glance. His ability to never forget was not bragging. It seemed that after obtaining the dragon pagoda for so many years, it was not idle, and actually refined the 2 dragon pagodas together. The dragon pagoda that Yang Chen obtained from the treasure house left by Ao Guang was slightly rough and not particularly exquisite. However, the dragon pagoda obtained from Ao Sen's hands was extremely exquisite. This fusion was rough and delicate, but it did not seem nondescript. It was really hard for Xiao Tian to work hard. At this time, Xiao Tian brought out the dragon pagoda and formed a unique spike. There must be his intention. Needless to say, it must be able to greatly increase the power. Moreover, the dragon pagoda itself was an extremely powerful attack weapon. This was proved when it was in Ao Sen's hands. The three masters were still in a daze, but Zhao Ziong, who was outside the formation, did not know what happened. Although he could see everything happening in the formation through Zhou Tianjuan's mirror, he could not feel the aura inside. Zhou Tianjun could sense it, but he would never tell Zhao Ziong. The formation almost stopped at this moment. At this moment, Yang Chen also raised the immortal beheading saber high. Without looking in any direction, he just fiercely slashed down. In the formation, the three perfected golden immortal masters who were controlling the formation I had just recovered from their absent-mindedness when they heard a slight noise. Then, they were surprised to find that they could no longer control the formation. Not only were they unable to control the formation, but in the next 2 breaths, the entire formation began to fall apart. Just now, Yang Chen's slash had easily split the entire formation in half. Unable to maintain its integrity, the formation naturally shattered in the next moment. Yang Chen's beheading immortal's attack range was very well controlled. When they entered the array, Yang Chen had already calculated the distance between them. The saber chi just happened to break through the edge of the array without harming the Heaven Monarch residence at all. Brother Zhao, I've embarrassed myself. Yang Chen withdrew the immortal beheading saber and returned to his original position as if nothing had happened. It was only at this moment that Zhao Ziong realized what had happened. He pointed at Yang Chen and exclaimed a few times without saying a word. Compared to Zhao Ziong, who pretended to find the principle of the formation and walked out of the formation according to a special pace, it was indeed much faster. Even if Zhao Ziong was ignorant of the world's affairs, he still understood that Yang Chen had been giving face to the Heaven Monarch residence, which was why he had endured until the end. He had not relied on a protective Dharma treasure to forcibly hold on as he had thought. Compared to Yang Chen's slash, Zhao Ziong's previous performance was simply as laughable as a clown's. Zhao Ziong also understood this point. It was true that he thought highly of himself, but he was not so stupid that he could not even tell whether the other party was really powerful or not. To think that he had arrogantly said that Yang Chen was not up to standard, but he was the most laughable one. Zhao Ziong kept exclaiming. It wasn't that he was so shocked that he could not speak, but that he did not know what to say and could only use this action to cover it up. Looking at the still expressionless Zhou Tianjun, the beaming madam of the Heaven Monarch who was looking at Yang Chen, and Zhou Xianying and the other girls who were looking at him with a faint smile, Zhao Ziong wished that there was a hole in the ground and he could crawl into it. This time, he had embarrassed himself greatly. Those 3 family guards were really useless. 3 against 1, and they could not even trap Yang Chen with the array. Such incompetence must be punished after they leave. Xiao Xian has returned safely. The residents must celebrate. Madam of the Heaven Monarch came out to help, so Zhao Ziong finally did not have to pretend to be stupid. However, Madam of the Heaven Monarch's next sentence made Zhao Ziong feel discouraged. Ziong, you go back first. Xiao Xian and I will visit in the future. Even the wife of the Lord of Heaven's wife had begun to ask him to leave. Even if Zhao Ziong was thick-skinned, he couldn't continue to stay here. He could only reluctantly say goodbye to the Lord of Heaven's wife. Before leaving, he also gave Yang Chen a fierce look, and reluctantly looked at the beautiful Zhou Xianying, and then left. Yang Chen's slash just now allowed Zhou Tianjun to see the amazing strength of his son-in-law. Zhou Tianjun was now more and more satisfied with this son-in-law he had met for the first time. Yang Chen was powerful, shrewd, and respected him enough. Other than the fact that he was born in Chunyang Palace and had a little discord with Xiantian sect, he really could not find any other dissatisfaction. Even if he might have to face a behemoth like Xiantian sect, Yang Chen did not seem worried at all. There was no need to look at Yang Chen, just look at Yang Chen's women. Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi did not seem to care at all. Even their own daughter, Zhou Xianying, had the same expression. It seemed that they were not worried about Yang Chen at all, which meant that Yang Chen already had a way to deal with it. However, the women did not know what Yang Chen could do. They had encountered this kind of thing many times in the spiritual realm in the mortal world. Every time, their husband would be able to turn danger into safety. They were really numb. Their husband must have a way to solve it. This was already the consensus of everyone. Those who stayed were all her family, so Madame of the Heaven Monarch immediately showed her kind side. After seeing her daughter's happy appearance, Madame of the Heaven Monarch had completely accepted Yang Chen. Women considered things differently from men. They did not think about strength or trouble at all. The most important thing was her daughter's happiness, right? Based on the feeling of loving the house and its crow, Madame of the Heaven Monarch was also very fond of Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi. Cultivators were different from mortal women. They did not have much jealousy, and it was a good thing that they could live in harmony with their sisters. Chapter 25:10. Although Zhou Tianjun didn't say it out loud, he had acknowledged Yang Chen in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tacitly allowed his wife to chase Zhao Ziang away. He could use the family banquet as an opportunity to teach Yang Chen a lesson and not let him bully his daughter. They were all family, so the atmosphere soon became much more harmonious. Although Zhou Tianjun still had a long face, he didn't reprimand Yang Chen at all. Yang Chen was also a smart person and immediately understood what Zhou Tianjun meant. In any case, Zhou Tianjun was also Zhou Xianying's father, a real father-in-law. As a younger generation, Yang Chen should have some respect for him. Yang Chen was very clear about his own position, so he recognized himself as a junior. All kinds of good words came out of his mouth without money, and coaxed his mother-in-law to smile. Although Zhou Tianjuan's expression didn't change, the occasional glint in his eyes revealed his good mood. Zhou Tianjuan's wife was very concerned about Zhou Xianying's experience in the spiritual realm, so she asked in great detail during the banquet. Zhou Xianying also understood her parents' feelings, so she told them about her experiences back then. When she heard that Zhou Xianying had become grumpy because of her ugly appearance and was called Granny Tianqin by the cultivators in the spiritual realm, Zhou Tianjuan's wife started to complain about Zhou Tianjun. Hearing that his daughter had suffered so much, Zhou Tianjun silently let his wife scold him and drank without saying a word. Yang Chen saw that the atmosphere wasn't right, so he accompanied his father-in-law for a few drinks. Only then did the atmosphere ease up a little. When Zhou Xianying met Yang Chen, she restored her flower-like beauty and achieved a happy marriage. Only then did Madame Qin's tears turn into a smile. Then, she listened to Zhou Xianying talk about the great calamity of the spiritual realm and the annihilation of the Zhao family against the traitors of the dragon race. Her story was very exciting, and Zhou Tianjun and his wife listened with great interest. Although the immortal world had received the warning from the Zhao family, they were very well hidden and didn't show up, so there were very few battles in the immortal world. Among the few major events, there were two inexplicable heaven and earth turbulence that were related to Yang Chen. They should have been caused by the sealing of the space channel connecting the demon realm and the demon realm. Relatively speaking, the immortal world was relatively calm. Compared to the turmoil that had occurred when the spiritual world was almost refined, the immortal world could be said to be calm. Generally speaking, the cultivators of the immortal world lived rather comfortably. If there was anything that had changed, it would be that there was some impure aura when they were cultivating recently, which might affect their cultivation. But for an infinite tribulation true immortal like them, the impact was almost negligible. Ever since the major sect in the immortal world sent their golden immortals to the immortal world, there had been no news from the spiritual world. In the past, no cultivators from the spiritual world had ascended to the immortal world. It was only in the past few hundred years that disciples from various sects had ascended to the immortal world. Only then did the cultivators from the immortal world slowly find out what had happened in the spiritual world. However, Zhou Tianjun was not a member of any major sect after all. What he knew was only hearsay from other sources. Even if the disciples of Zhou Tianjun's own sect ascended to the immortal world, it was definitely not as detailed as what Yang Chen's family knew. In the second half of the family banquet, Zhou Tianjun asked in detail about what had happened in the spiritual world. Zhou Tianjun was a family member. Basically, except for some secrets, Zhou Xianying told him everything she knew. Zhou Tianjun and his wife were dumbfounded. They didn't expect the Zhao family to be so big and the traitor of the dragon tribe to be so strong. Zhou Tianjun couldn't help but worry. The Zhao family was already so powerful in the spiritual world. How terrifying would the hidden Zhao family in the immortal world be? The funny thing was that the immortal world had been peaceful for a long time, so many cultivators subconsciously forgot to take precautions. We met the Zhao family when we were about to arrive at the receiving town. In Zhou Tianjuan's house, Zhou Xianying was usually the one talking. Yang Chen was responsible for drinking wine with Zhou Tianjun from time to time. But when Zhou Xianying said that, Zhou Tianjun finally spoke for the first time. What happened? Tell me in detail. Zhou Xianying didn't hide anything. She told him everything about the Zhao family. Of course, Zhou Xianying didn't mention the people from the spectral soul sect. However, the experts from the Zhao family alone were enough to attract Zhou Tianjuan's attention. Li Jing's pagoda fell into their hands. This is a clue that can be traced. After hearing the conditions the Zhao family had offered Yang Chen, Zhou Tianjun immediately knew how to investigate the Zhao family. When he heard about Madame Bai's appearance, Zhou Tianjun expressed his concern again. Of course, he was concerned about Madame Bai's true identity. Madame Bai had interacted with Yang Chen and the others in the spiritual world. At first, Zhou Tianjun thought they were just ordinary seclusion expert. But now, it sounded like that wasn't the case at all. Madame Bai is Patriarch Lu's first wife. This time, it was Yang Chen who answered. His answer was also quite casual. However, those words were like a bolt from the blue to Zhou Tianjun and Madame Heavenly Lord's ears. Patriarch Lu's wife. How was that possible? Patriarch Lu was a member of the old heavenly court. Although he had been missing for a long time, Patriarch Lu's powerful battle strength was definitely the nightmare of all enemies who had fought against him. Even now, the heavenly court wasn't sure if Patriarch Lu was dead. But they heard that Patriarch Lu had sent Madame Bai to the spiritual world for protection tens of thousands of years ago. How could Patriarch Lu have died in the heavenly court's rebellion? After the shock, Zhou Tianjun and Madame Bai were pleasantly surprised. Yang Chen and Mrs. Bai actually had such a close relationship. Even her own daughter was very close to Mrs. Bai's party. This was simply a great thing. Once Patriarch Lu returned in the future, they would owe him a huge favor. Basically, the family banquet was almost over. Madame Heavenly Lord arranged a place for Yang Chen and the three girls to stay. Then, she pulled Zhou Xianying along and continued to ask her about her experience in the spiritual world. How could something that had happened thousands of years ago be explained in a single meal? Yang Chen, the son-in-law of the Heavenly Lord, had finally obtained Zhou Tianjuan's approval. The cultivators outside didn't know what they were thinking, but inside the Heavenly Lord residence, all the servants and maids would greet Yang Chen respectfully and address him as son-in-law. None of them dared to look down on Yang Chen because of his low cultivation. Gao Yugong's Sunling was also relieved. He had finally obtained the approval of Zhou Xianying's parents. Her husband more or less had a very clear backer. He was no longer alone when he had just ascended. He had barely found a place to stay. However, Yang Chen didn't plan to stay in the Heavenly Lord residence for long. After resolving the issue of his father-in-law's approval, Yang Chen needed to immediately go and talk to the people from the Black Heaven sect. He just didn't know who he would meet at that address. Chapter 25:11. Zhou Xianying stayed at the Heavenly Lord residence. Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junqi also stayed there. Zhou Xianying and Madame Heavenly Lord had a lot to talk about and wouldn't leave anytime soon. Yang Chen left the Heavenly Lord residence by himself. His excuse to Zhou Tianjun was to understand the situation in the immortal world and then find a suitable place to set up a sect in Chunyang Palace. His real purpose was to secretly go to the address given by Black Heaven sect and see what Black Heaven sect's intentions were. Yang Chen had a general idea of the immortal world. In his previous life, he had stayed here for thousands of years. That was enough for Yang Chen to travel to most of the areas. The attitude of the profound Heaven sect, Yang Chen could probably guess a few points. Since Black Heaven sect could incite most sects to overthrow the old heavenly court, they were definitely an ambitious sect. They wouldn't allow their own sect to slowly decline. They would find ways to restore their past glory, and Chunyang Palace seemed to be the most suitable sect to do so. The address recorded on the jade slip wasn't very secretive. It was even in the Heavenly Court's capital. But even so, the Heavenly Court's capital had a radius of millions of miles. With such a large area, no one would notice such an inconspicuous place. Yang Chen rushed to a small corner where the spiritual power was not very abundant. Because the spiritual veins were not abundant enough, there were not many cultivators here. Only a few rogue cultivators lived here, built a small town, and a small inn that could not be smaller. These as a whole formed a simple and complete circle that was enough for cultivators to live in. In the only small shop in the town, Yang Chen bought a few kinds of herbs and went to the inn to open a pill refining room. He hung a sign saying "Closed Door Pill Refining" and sealed the door. This kind of thing was very common in the immortal world. Because this was the Heavenly Court's capital, there was no need to worry about safety. When people didn't have a suitable place to refine pills, they would go to an inn in the Heavenly Court's capital and open a pill refining room. After sealing the pill refining room, Yang Chen pretended to refine a furnace of pills. When he felt that no one was watching him, he cast a few spells. The technique directly struck the pill furnace in the alchemy room. After the pill furnace flashed, a passageway appeared out of thin air inside the pill furnace. When Yang Chen saw the passage appear, he jumped in without thinking. After Yang Chen jumped in, the dark passage was instantly closed, and the flame of the alchemy furnace burned again. Except for the lack of a person, it was as if nothing had happened. The passage was very long and dark, but for a cultivator like Yang Chen, it was like nothing had happened. Under the probing of his divine sense, everything in the passageway appeared in front of him. It was exceptionally clear. Yang Chen followed the passage for a while. After walking for a while, the passage behind him would disappear inexplicably. Even if Yang Chen wanted to go back, there was no way. If someone wanted to harm Yang Chen, it was estimated that Yang Chen would not be able to escape. This was obviously a temporary passageway. As long as someone passed through it, it would disappear. It was very suitable for hiding one's tracks. After walking for almost half a month, Yang Chen finally walked out of the passage. Outside the passageway was another room. The furnishings inside looked like an ordinary alchemy furnace. Yang Chen once again used the same method and struck out a Dharma art. Another passage appeared on the alchemy furnace and Yang Chen walked in again. Yang Chen went through this process at least 3 times. He walked through 3 passages and spent almost 3 months before he finally reached his destination. When Yang Chen walked out of the last passage, he saw a familiar face. Sect Master Wang of the Mystic Heaven Sect's spiritual realm, the one before Sect Master Li, had ascended after being plotted against by Yang Chen. However, everyone in the Mystic Heaven Sect had always thought that he had been plotted against by a spy from the Zhao family. "Greetings, Sect Master." When Yang Chen saw Sect Master Wang, he immediately bowed. Since he was acting, he had to be thorough. Sect Master Wang kindly helped Yang Chen up. After looking at Yang Chen's face for a while, he nodded and said, "Yang Chen, it's been hard on you in the spiritual realm." Relying on the information from other sects' ascended disciples, the Mystic Heaven Sect slowly grasped the information about the spiritual realm. They had more or less understood what had happened. The higher-ups of the Mystic Heaven Sect sighed at the destruction of the Mystic Heaven Sect in the spiritual realm. Only Sect Master Wang and the current Jade Emperor were indifferent. Only Sect Master Wang and the current Jade Emperor knew about Yang Chen's secret identity. On this point, Sect Master Wang was much more cautious than most people in the Mystic Heaven Sect. Even though he sent Zhou Xing and the others to bring down Kwa Yi's secret mental cultivation method for Yang Chen, Sect Master Wang and the Jade Emperor did not reveal Yang Chen's identity to anyone. Fortunately, Yang Chen's identity was not exposed. Later, the Mystic Heaven Sect's disciples were all accepted by the Chunyang Palace under the arrangement of Sect Master Li. From the Jade Emperor's point of view, Yang Chen had made a great contribution to the Mystic Heaven Sect. He had almost completely preserved the bloodline of the Mystic Heaven Sect. Because of this, the Mystic Heaven Sect's foundation was not completely destroyed. Yang Chen was the main contributor. Therefore, as soon as Yang Chen ascended, he received a message from the Mystic Heaven Sect's disciple. Up until now, the welcoming disciple was probably still confused and had no idea what was going on. The task he received was to give a jade slip to the ascended cultivators who came to the Mystic Heaven Sect to kowtow. He did not even know if anyone would come back to the Mystic Heaven Sect to kowtow. "You did a good job in the spiritual realm." Sect Master Wang was also very satisfied with this proud disciple of Sect Master Li. After constantly praising him, he said to Yang Chen, "It's good that you're here. I'll introduce you to someone." Yang Chen naturally listened to Sect Master Wang's arrangement, even though he knew that Sect Master Wang had only ascended for about 2,000 years and his status in the immortal realm was not very high. However, Sect Master Wang ascended as a Sect Master. Even if his status was low, it would not be too low. The person who was personally introduced by Sect Master Wang must be very important. Yang Chen also braced himself and prepared to deal with it. It should be known that the high-level members of the Mystic Heaven Sect in the immortal realm were all tribulation true immortals. If they were not careful, they would be exposed under all kinds of pressure. Following Sect Master Wang out of the room, Yang Chen did not know where he was for a while. Sect Master Wang took Yang Chen to fly for a while and entered a slightly larger but equally ordinary room. Then, Yang Chen saw the person that Sect Master Wang was going to introduce. That person was sitting on the only chair in the middle of the room. Everything around him looked very ordinary, so ordinary that people could ignore it at any time. However, the person sitting on the chair attracted all of Yang Chen's attention. That person exuded a majesty of the world. Even if he was just sitting there casually, there was a feeling of the world worshipping him. Behind the plain figure, there seemed to be thousands of rays of auspicious qi shining. Chapter 25:12. Only the previous sect master of the Xiantian sect in the immortal world, the new Jade Emperor, could have such a spirit just by sitting there. As the Jade Emperor, he had to be in charge of the heavenly court and the immortal world. Naturally, he could not only serve the Xiantian sect, so the Jade Emperor resigned as the sect master of the Xiantian sect. Of course, this was only on the surface. Within the Xiantian sect, the new Jade Emperor still had the final say. The Jade Emperor knew this, and the cultivators of the other sect also knew this. The Jade Emperor knew that the cultivators of the other sect knew, and the cultivators of the other sect also knew that the Jade Emperor knew that they knew. Everyone had a tacit understanding, and no one pointed it out. Now that the Jade Emperor was here, it meant that he was still completely in charge of the Xiantian sect. At least, he had to ask about the merger of the Chunyang Palace and the Xiantian sect in the spiritual world. Hearing Sect Master Wang and Yang Chen walking in, the Jade Emperor, who had closed his eyes to rest, suddenly opened his eyes. As soon as the Jade Emperor opened his eyes, Yang Chen immediately felt a supreme pressure fall directly on him, making him have an urge to kneel down. He wanted to resist, but Yang Chen suddenly thought of the identity of the other party and immediately bowed to the other party. No matter what identity Yang Chen had, when he saw the Jade Emperor, he had to kneel down to the Jade Emperor before Yang Chen immediately raised the flag to rebel. This was a great etiquette in the immortal world. Not to mention Yang Chen, even the sect masters of the other four sects, the island master of the Green Jade Immortal Island, the Blue Cloud sect master, the Five Elements sect master, and the Qianquan sect master had to kneel down when they saw the Jade Emperor. It was not shameful for Yang Chen to kneel down. Rise. The Jade Emperor observed Yang Chen with great interest. His pair of bright eyes seemed to be able to see through all obstacles. He could easily see through some of Yang Chen's hidden asset. The Jade Emperor looked purely and did not use any divine sense to probe at all. It seemed that in his realm, the Jade Emperor had already believed that no one could hide anything under his all-seeing eyes. Not bad, little fellow. After watching for a while, the Jade Emperor grinned and praised to sect leader Wang. We have only sent Kwa Yi's secret technique down for a few days, but he has already reached the second level. Indeed, he is born to be most suitable for this kind of body-strengthening magic. Even though Yang Chen was already more than 3,000 years old, in front of the Jade Emperor, who had lived for God knows how many tens of thousands of years, he was indeed a little guy. One had to know that when the Jade Emperor ascended the throne, Yang Chen had just become the executioner of the immortal slaying platform and had yet to start cultivating. The way the Jade Emperor addressed Yang Chen as a little fellow showed his satisfaction and friendliness towards him. Yang Chen also revealed a flattered expression at the right time. However, the Jade Emperor accurately stated the realm of his body refining technique, which made Yang Chen slightly surprised. Even though he was mentally prepared, his face showed that he was extremely shocked. This shocked expression was undoubtedly the best way to flatter the Jade Emperor. It made the Jade Emperor instantly have a good impression of this junior. You've done very well in the spiritual realm. The Jade Emperor looked like a person who cherished his words like gold, but in front of Yang Chen, he praised him twice in a row. A golden light was emitted from the Jade Emperor's hand and landed on Yang Chen's body, making Yang Chen's entire body shine with golden light. Before Yang Chen knew what had happened, the Jade Emperor's voice had already sounded. This is a treasure light on the plaque of the Lingshao King Palace. It can strengthen the power of any of your magic treasures. It's a reward for you. Thank you, Jade Emperor, for the reward. Yang Chen hurriedly thanked him. In any case, he had gotten the good stuff. The reward also meant that the Jade Emperor and sect leader Wang did not find anything unusual with Yang Chen, which was a good thing. To be able to strengthen the power of any magic treasure, this reward was much more practical than giving tens of millions of merit points. Yang Chen now did not know which magic treasure to choose to strengthen. However, this problem was definitely a problem for the future. He still had to pass the current hurdle. No matter what, he had to reach an agreement with the Xiantian sect. I'll leave the rest to you. The Jade Emperor personally came forward and gave Yang Chen a reward. He no longer needed to deal with the specific matters personally. The specific intentions of the sect were already very clear, and sect leader Wang would naturally deal with it properly. Sect leader Wang and Yang Chen both bowed and sent the Jade Emperor off. When the Jade Emperor's aura could no longer be sensed, Sect leader Wang let out a long breath and turned to Yang Chen with a smile on his face. Well done, the Jade Emperor is also very satisfied. After praising Yang Chen again, sect leader Wang had an envious expression on his face, as if he was very envious of Yang Chen's golden light. This disciple is indebted to sect leader for taking care of me. This can be considered as filial piety to sect leader. Yang Chen's eyes were very sharp, and he immediately saw sect leader Wang's envy. Without saying anything, he was about to give away the golden light in his hand. This is a reward from the Jade Emperor. How can the Jade Emperor's words be given away so casually? Sect leader Wang did not dare to accept Yang Chen's filial piety easily. He shook his head directly. After settling everything, you can focus on breaking through the art of alchemy and become a 9th-grade alchemist. Just refine a furnace of pills for me. Of course, Yang Chen had no problem with this kind of request, and both sides were naturally happy. The Jade Emperor was not there, and only Yang Chen and sect leader Wang were left. The atmosphere was also much more harmonious. Yang Chen even took out good wine, poured it for sect leader Wang, and brought it to sect leader Wang with both hands. Sect leader Wang was also very satisfied with Yang Chen's attitude. After enjoying this disciple's filial piety with a clear conscience, he slowly explained the intentions of the higher-ups of the Xiantian sect. The Xiantian sect would definitely rise again. There was no doubt about this. The Xiantian sect, which had been domineering for countless years, would never lose all its spirit because of a little setback. Originally, things were very troublesome, but now that there was the unexpected joy of Chunyang Palace, everything was not a problem. Yang Chen could develop freely in the immortal realm. In the short term, the Xiantian sect would not interfere with the development of Chunyang Palace, let alone suppress it. They would even secretly support it. But on the surface, Chunyang Palace still had nothing to do with the Xiantian sect. When the Zhao family was dealt with and the major sect began to suppress the Xiantian sect in many ways, it was believed that Chunyang Palace would have a firm foothold. At that time, the Xiantian sect would annex Chunyang Palace and instantly restore the prestige of the world's #1 sect. It was believed that the faces of the higher-ups of the major sects would be very interesting. Yang Chen told him this as soon as he ascended, so that he could be prepared. At the same time, the great reward that the Jade Emperor gave to Yang Chen was also to make Yang Chen feel at ease, to let him know that as long as he worked with peace of mind, the Jade Emperor would definitely reward him. Don't worry, work with peace of mind, and there will definitely be benefits for you. Sect leader Wang also reassured Yang Chen on behalf of the Jade Emperor. Didn't you get the inheritance of the immortal slaying platform in the spiritual realm? If necessary, directly refine the immortal slaying platform in the immortal realm and completely control it. With the immortal slaying platform, let's see who dares to go against the Jade Emperor. Chapter 25:13. The Xiantian sect had a good plan. To be exact, Yang Chen's ascension brought great hope to the Xiantian sect. The Taishanmen in the mortal world and the Xiantian sect in the spiritual world were destroyed one after another. This was a fatal blow to the Xiantian sect in the immortal world. In addition, the idea of the Xiantian sect to rebuild the Taishanmen in the mortal world had been shattered. The consciousness of the almighty immortal who was sent down had long been dead. It could be said that Yang Chen was now the only hope of the Xiantian sect. Under such circumstances, the Xiantian sect would not let Chunyang Palace be suppressed too badly in any case. This also meant that the future development of Chunyang Palace was actually destined to be glorious. The Xiantian sect had a good plan, but they did not expect that Yang Chen still had a deep hatred for them. Yang Lan was dead, but Yang Chen still had to avenge the Xiantian sect. You should refine this golden light as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be hard to explain to outsiders. Sect Master Wang told Yang Chen. Although he was drooling over this golden light, this was a reward given by the Jade Emperor to Yang Chen. He did not dare to take it easily. He could only watch it. It was too uncomfortable to watch. It was better to let Yang Chen refine it as soon as possible. It was indeed inconvenient for Yang Chen to carry this golden light with him. Not to mention being coveted by other cultivators, it was hard to explain the source of the golden light. Could he tell Zhou Tianjun that this golden light was the treasure light of the Lingshao Palace given to him by the Jade Emperor? Why? Could it be that Chunyang Palace and the Xiantian sect were really unclear? Therefore, no matter what, Yang Chen had to refine the golden light immediately. However, when choosing the object to refine and strengthen, Yang Chen also muttered. Yang Chen now had two main magic weapons. One was the great Yin-Yang 5 Elements flying sword. Of course, the Immortal beheading saber was the main one. The other was the newly obtained Tai Chi golden ball. Of these two magic treasures, which one was very important to Yang Chen? Yang Chen really couldn't make a decision for a while. The improvement of the Immortal beheading saber was something to look forward to. As long as he refined the Immortal beheading platform and absorbed the Immortal beheading saber in the Immortal beheading platform, he would definitely achieve great success. Moreover, Yang Chen firmly believed that the future Immortal slaying saber would definitely be extremely powerful. Even in the Immortal world, it would not be weaker than some of the famous Dharma treasures in the three realms. The Tai Chi golden ball was even more extraordinary. It was born out of the golden bell of the Dragon Clan. Based on the principle of the mutual promotion and restraint of Tai Chi, it was almost directly connected to the Tao. Its defensive ability had reached the highest limit that Yang Chen's cultivation could reach. As long as Yang Chen's cultivation increased, the power of the Tai Chi golden ball would also increase. From the looks of it, the Tai Chi golden ball didn't really need to be upgraded. Yang Chen had the primordial heaven elixir. His cultivation could definitely be upgraded to the 10,000 tribulation true immortal. Moreover, he would definitely have higher achievements in the future. There were many possibilities for the Tai Chi golden ball to be upgraded in the future. There was no need to waste the treasure light of the soaring Heaven King Palace. Apart from these two magic treasures, Yang Chen basically had no other magic treasures that were worth more attention. Alchemy furnace? Yang Chen's alchemy furnace was indeed not strong enough at the moment. However, Yang Chen had already understood that the real alchemy technique did not rely on a powerful alchemy furnace. It still depended on the level of the alchemist. The Tao ancestor was so powerful in alchemy. When had he ever heard of the Tao ancestor refining the heaven and earth 8 trigrams furnace when he had nothing better to do? The rest of the magic treasures were all side branches. There was no need to waste them and expose them. After thinking about it, Yang Chen couldn't find a magic treasure that was worth using the treasure light. In the end, Yang Chen still looked at himself. Since everything was closely related to his cultivation, why not use the treasure light to strengthen himself? The golden body technique that Yang Chen cultivated was integrated with the heaven and earth treasure cultivation technique. He used his own body as a magic treasure. Previously, it was very suitable for Yang Chen because he had integrated with the Dragon Clan Golden Bell. Later, the Dragon Clan Golden Bell evolved into the Tai Chi Golden Ball. It was not completely integrated with Yang Chen's body. It was only half integrated. The effect of the heaven and earth treasure cultivation technique in the golden body technique completely worked on Yang Chen. At first, it was not very useful for Yang Chen. However, after hundreds of years of cultivation, Yang Chen gradually found that it was not completely useless. It was just that the effect was not very obvious. After a long time, there was a great improvement. In other words, Yang Chen himself was also a magic treasure. Since everything was related to one's own cultivation, then wasn't it only natural to improve one's own strength? This was the most fundamental solution, right? Seeing Yang Chen sit down and begin to refine the golden light, Sect Master Wang sighed in his heart. He walked out and began to go into closed-door cultivation for Yang Chen. To be honest, there were only a few cultivators in the world who could make the spiritual realm sect master of the mysterious heaven sect personally go into closed-door cultivation for them. Yang Chen had just ascended a few days ago, and it was an honor for him to enjoy this kind of honor. The golden light was not difficult to refine. When Yang Chen was completely immersed in it, the golden light seemed to understand Yang Chen's meaning. It began to penetrate into every inch of Yang Chen's body. Yang Chen could feel a comfortable feeling as if his whole body was immersed in some kind of comfortable liquid. He only felt a burst of refreshment and comfort. It was as if he was being massaged by the most skilled masseur in the world. Every massage was just right, allowing every tired part of Yang Chen's body to recover and strengthen. After a long time, Yang Chen opened his eyes and stood up. After a simple check, Yang Chen also smiled. His cultivation did not improve, at least there was no obvious change in his spiritual power realm, but his body had still changed greatly. What changed was the realm of his body refining technique. Before refining, his body refining technique had already reached the second realm of Kwa Yi's secret technique, and he had been cultivating for nearly 1,000 years. However, with this level of body refining technique, 1,000 years of cultivation could only increase a small level. Which of the masters of the Kwa Yi family in the immortal realm did not have at least tens of thousands of years of cultivation? Now, under the nourishment of the soaring Heaven King Palace's treasure light, Yang Chen's body refining technique had at least reached the peak of the second realm of Kwa Yi's secret technique. Although he had not yet completed the breakthrough of a big realm, it was enough to save Yang Chen tens of thousands of years of hard cultivation. No wonder even Sect Master Wang had such an envious expression. Turned out that this thing was really so extraordinary. Good stuff. Sect Master Wang heard the movement and walked in. When he saw Yang Chen, he didn't seem to notice his changes. Sect Master Wang's cultivation was still low, far from the Jade Emperor's eyes. Seeing that Yang Chen had put away the golden light, Sect Master Wang finally breathed a sigh of relief and nodded to Yang Chen. "You'd better leave here. In the following days, you will have to work hard. If Chunyang Palace wants to establish a sect, it is estimated that it will inevitably be suppressed by others. We can't help you openly. Take care." Chapter 25:14. After receiving the position of commander of the Immortal Slaying Platform, Zhou Tianjun happily brought Yang Chen back to the Heavenly Lord residence. Then, the whole family set off. Zhou Tianjun and Madame Heavenly Lord brought Yang Chen, Zhou Xianying, and the other 4 women to the Heavenly Court's most famous merit market. Yang Chen and the others were new here, so there must be a lot of useful things to exchange. Yang Chen was very satisfied, so was Zhou Tianjun. The official on duty in the Ministry of Personnel was also very satisfied. This was because Yang Chen was very filial and gave him a few barrier-dispelling pills that Yang Chen had personally refined. When she saw the merit value on Yang Chen's merit ring, the eyes of the Madam of the Heavenly Lord stared directly like a copper bell, and her mouth directly uttered a scream. The executioner of the Immortal Slaying Platform. The official in charge of receiving Yang Chen couldn't help but feel a subconscious rejection. It was as if interacting with such a low-level servant would lower his character. If Yang Chen hadn't been personally brought here by Zhou Tianjun, the official on duty wouldn't have paid any attention to Yang Chen. Didn't the higher-ups arrange a new position for Yang Chen? Zhou Tianjun smiled as he watched the official on duty finish all this. As for the previous commander, he didn't even know that Yang Chen had left the Immortal Slaying Platform. What right did he have to be a commander? When Yang Chen's news reached the higher-ups, he was stripped of his commander title. However, when the official from the Ministry of Rights picked up the name list and started to check on Yang Chen, he suddenly realized that Yang Chen's new position had already been arranged. Furthermore, it was personally arranged by one of the 6 assistant ministers. This seemed a little interesting. However, to Yang Chen, this so-called salary really didn't mean much. The salary of the heavenly court was directly the merit, which was directly transferred from the heavenly court to Yang Chen's merit ring. It was not a large amount, but it was not a small amount either. There were at least 10 million merit points. However, such a small amount of merit points was nothing to Yang Chen. Yang Chen was very famous in the spirit realm. Almost everyone knew about him. However, in the immortal realm, only a few people who paid attention to him knew about him. Most cultivators did not know about Yang Chen. Even in the Ministry of Personnel, if it weren't for Yang Chen's special status as the executioner of the immortal slaying platform, the officials of the Ministry of Personnel probably wouldn't even know that there was such a cultivator in the heavenly court. It was perfectly normal for him to get the salary he deserved from the heavenly court, and no one could say anything strange about it. Heavenly Lord Zhou personally brought the son-in-law he had just approved to the Ministry of Appointments of the heavenly court to work for Yang Chen. Which one of the wily old foxes in the Ministry of Personnel wasn't a smart person? Seeing this, the smile on his face became even more cordial, and his tone became much more polite. Even Heavenly Lord Zhou was surprised by Yang Chen's change from arrogance to humility. The officials on duty in the Ministry of Personnel immediately looked gloomy. Every radish in the heavenly court had its own pit now. How could there be extra pits for a new radish like Yang Chen? Moreover, Yang Chen was only a golden immortal. There were many infinite tribulation true immortals waiting in line for the heavenly court to make arrangements for them. How could a junior like Yang Chen dare to ask such a question? Yang Chen's new position was handled as quickly as possible, and the grade of his merit ring was directly changed. Originally, Yang Chen was the executioner of the immortal slaying platform, but now he was the commander of the entire immortal slaying platform. In other words, from selecting the executioner to managing the group of heavenly soldiers guarding the entrance of the immortal slaying platform, it was all Yang Chen's responsibility. Yang Chen, if you don't have enough merit points, just take them from me. Madam of Heavenly Lord Zhou kindly paid for all the expenses of Yang Chen's family, and asked them to look around to see if there was anything they wanted. Of course, Madam of Heavenly Lord Zhou had enough face. Not only did she let this reluctant official see Yang Chen with a smile on his face, but she also gave Yang Chen a salary according to the number of years Yang Chen had served on the immortal slaying platform. Not only that, she also took the initiative to pay Yang Chen interest according to the number of years Yang Chen had served on the immortal slaying platform. Since it was Heavenly Lord Zhou's face, the official of the Ministry of Personnel gave Heavenly Lord Zhou face, and began to take out the name list of the officials of the heavenly court, trying to squeeze out a place for Yang Chen. Many innumerable tribulation true immortals queuing up in the Ministry of Personnel were surprised to see the official on duty send Heavenly Lord Zhou and Yang Chen out of the door with an apologetic smile, and did not forget to say a very melodramatic farewell. The main person who was sending them off was a junior golden immortal, which made many people's jaws drop. "Auntie, I still have some merit points." Yang Chen hurriedly refused. What a joke! It was not kind of him to spend his mother-in-law's money as soon as he arrived. As he spoke, Yang Chen took out his merit ring and pointed at the number on it for Madam of Heavenly Lord to see. Whether the effect Yang Chen said was true or not, the fact that he followed Heavenly Lord Zhou here and did not forget to show filial piety showed that this junior was worthy of training and was a talent. Judging from Heavenly Lord Zhou's words, he did not know about this arrangement, otherwise, he would not have used his face to urge this matter. But how could Yang Chen, this little guy, make such a big figure personally arrange a new direction for him? But it was not Yang Chen who asked this question, but Heavenly Lord Zhou. Heavenly Lord Zhou, one of the four marshals, was not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, the whole capital of the heavenly court was saying that Heavenly Lord Zhou's daughter had ascended from the spiritual realm and brought back a son-in-law. If he guessed correctly, this Yang Chen should be Heavenly Lord Zhou's son-in-law. You have a position in the heavenly court, but you haven't done it for many years. Since you've ascended to the immortal realm, you should get your salary back no matter what. Heavenly Lord Zhou quite approved of this son-in-law of his, so he tried to fight for benefits for Yang Chen in all aspects. Yang Chen finally returned to Heavenly Lord Zhou's mansion. During these months, no one in the mansion, including Heavenly Lord Zhou, asked what Yang Chen did when he went out. At least, Heavenly Lord Zhou had vaguely discovered that Yang Chen had undergone some good changes. Although his cultivation did not increase, his strength had increased a lot. This must be the change after Yang Chen went out, so there was nothing to be curious about. This was in line with Yang Chen's previous duties as an executioner. Even the most dissatisfied cultivators had to admit that Yang Chen was definitely qualified to be the commander after seeing this arrangement. Cultivators had their own Tao. Some things couldn't be said to other outsiders, even if it was his own wife. Sometimes he would hide it. This was a common thing, so Yang Chen was very natural about it. Fortunately, Yang Chen was just an executioner before. No matter how much he improved, he could not rise to the top in a single step. At most, he was just a servant or a strong man in the heavenly court. Heavenly Lord Zhou should also know the rules, so it was easy to satisfy him. If Yang Chen asked the question himself, he would definitely be spat at by the official on duty in the Ministry of Personnel. Who do you think you are? How dare you be so arrogant? Although the official on duty in the Ministry of Personnel was a civil servant, he was still an infinite tribulation true immortal. He could throw Yang Chen out of the southern heavenly gate with one finger. Yang Chen was an executioner, but now that he had come out of the immortal beheading platform, it seemed that it would not be convenient for him to be an executioner again. Even if Yang Chen was willing, Heavenly Lord Zhou did not want his daughter to be a widow, so it was inevitable that he would give Yang Chen a new position. Chapter 25:15. Yang Chen's merit points were terrifying. Even though Brother Li Cheng had taken most of Yang Chen's merit points, the merit points left on the Xian Long merit stele were at least on the order of 10 to the power of 24. Such a long string of numbers could really blind the eyes of ordinary cultivators. After all, there were many infinite tribulation true immortals who cultivated for tens of thousands of years in the immortal realm, yet they could not get even 1% of Yang Chen's merit points. Moreover, the new heavenly court had only been established for a mere 3,000 years. There was no time for most of the cultivators in the immortal realm to accumulate such a huge amount of merit points. Cultivators who could obtain such a number of merit points were at least bigwigs who could enter the numinous heaven palace to stand guard. Strictly speaking, there were no more than 100 of them. Even if it was Zhou Tianjun, it was just about the same amount of merit. It was very likely that it was much less than Yang Chen's, because in a hurry, it was impossible to count the length of the number, it was always very long. However, Yang Chen was just a golden immortal junior who had just ascended. Even if he became a golden immortal right after ascending, which was a realm higher than those Xian immortals who ascended, he was still a junior in the immortal realm. How could he have so much merit points? The problem was that nobody could object to the merit points that Yang Chen had. Cultivators who knew about Yang Chen's deeds in the spiritual realm knew what role Yang Chen had played in the great tribulation of the spiritual realm. With such a huge contribution, it was very normal for him to obtain such a huge amount of merit points. If the amount of merit points was enough to surprise Madam of Heavenly Lord, then the string of golden numbers on Yang Chen's merit ring was even more shocking. The number of merit points on Yang Chen's merit was golden. What kind of merit points could be golden? There were only two situations. One was the merit points that were recognized by all bigwigs who were qualified to stand guard in the numinous heaven palace, and the merit points that were given by the Jade Emperor. That was golden. The other one was engraved on the merit stele of Swan and I, a descendant of the Dragon clan. It was also golden. Both were golden, but there was a difference between the two. The one recognized by the Jade Emperor was pale gold, while the one on the merit stele of Swan and I was dark gold. The merit points recorded on the Jade Emperor's iron plaque could only be used in the current dynasty. Once the dynasty was overthrown like the previous dynasty, it would be worthless. But the dark gold merit points were different. It was a great merit that could go through thousands of dynasties and generations and would never disappear. There were many dragons in the immortal realm, but the descendants of the dragon clan. Of the dragon clan. Under normal circumstances, it was very difficult for a noble race like the dragon clan to tolerate the existence of such impure descendants. As for the power of the dragon clan, unless they encountered some top-notch experts, they could practically sweep through the entire immortal world. If a descendant like Shao Tian and Long Xian, whose bloodline was not pure enough, encountered the dragon clan alone, there would only be one outcome, and that was to be directly obliterated by the experts of the dragon clan and have their bloodline taken back. The number of surviving Swan and I in the immortal realm could be counted on one hand, and each of them could contend with the experts of the dragon clan. They could make the experts of the dragon clan feel that they had to pay a heavy price to make them disappear. How could such a powerful creature easily record merit points for others? What's more, there was a limit to the merit points recorded on the Swan and I. Once it started, it would be best to record the merit points of one cultivator, no more than 3 cultivators. Once it exceeded this number, the quality of the merit stele would decrease, and the recorded merit would be greatly reduced. It would be less than 10% or even less than 100%. How many ordinary cultivators could fill up a Swan Ni's merit stele? Apart from the freak Yangchen, there were very few such cultivators. Swan and I were so rare in the immortal realm, and there were so many restrictions. Even Madame Heavenly Monarch had never seen a cultivator with dark gold merit point. But now, her eyes told her that her son-in-law, the newly ascended young cultivator Yangchen, had dark gold merit points. Not to mention how high Yangchen's cultivation was, not to mention how talented Yangchen was, not to mention how great Yangchen's future potential was, just this dark gold merit points was enough to make Madame Heavenly Monarch firmly believe that her son-in-law could not be anyone other than Yangchen. In addition to merit points, spirit stones were also accepted here. However, after seeing Yangchen's merit value, Madame of the Lord of Heaven's wife didn't even think about the spirit stones and threw them to the back of her head. Although she knew that her son-in-law could directly use the purest spirit stones to kill people, even if it was just a simple calculation of spirit stones. With the prestige of a heavenly monarch and the merit points of a son-in-law, Madame Heavenly Monarch couldn't wait to walk sideways in the merit points market. Even if she still had to maintain her ladylike temperament, Madame Heavenly Monarch couldn't help but look down from time to time. Madame Heavenly Monarch was happy. She was really happy. Even though she was already a 10,000 tribulation true immortal, Madame Heavenly Monarch still showed extreme excitement when she went shopping with a big bag of money. She skipped the low-level places and went straight to the most luxurious Heavenly Court's largest store. On the way, Madame Heavenly Monarch didn't forget to ask her daughter how many merit points she had. Since her son-in-law had already obtained so many merit points, her daughter should be doing well too, right? Of course, Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junki had already been adopted by Madame Heavenly Monarch, so they were all considered as daughters. Just as Madame Heavenly Monarch expected, not only Zhou Xianying, but also Gao Yu, Gong Sunling, and Tao Junki were all rare wealthy people with merit points in the celestial world. Almost all of them had participated in saving the spiritual realm, refining the demon realm, and refining the demon realm, and all of them had obtained a lot of merit points. Especially Gong Sunling, her merit points were almost the same as her husband's. After all, among all the things, the Mountain River geographical map was the one with the highest participation. Naturally, Gong Sunling's contribution was second only to Yang Chen's. How could it be less? The only shortcoming was that their merit points were just ordinary merit points, without any other color, so they were not as precious as Yang Chen's. But on the other hand, how could merit points be obtained so easily? Madame Heavenly Monarch led her son-in-law and daughters into the Heavenly Court's merit points shop in the most domineering manner. She held her head high and sat directly on the largest guest seat inside. She pointed with her chin at the 10,000 tribulation true Immortal shop assistant who came out to greet the guests and ordered slowly, "Take out the list of your most expensive goods." The shop assistant was very perceptive. He knew these were rich guests at first glance. Without saying anything, he gave each of them a jade slip and served them the best spiritual tea in the shop. Yang Chen reached out and picked up the jade slip. With his divine sense, he saw the contents of the jade slip. Then, the next moment, Yang Chen's eyes widened.